Chapter 260. How did you do it? Bing Ling's face was pale. The ice crystal formed by all of her Zhenqi had been shattered, and the remaining Zhenqi in her body was less than 5%. Not to mention threatening Yi Chen, even a normal clasping Yuan realm warrior would be able to beat her easily. Therefore, she had already lost, and she only wanted to know how Yi Chen had done it. Putting his Star Scar sword back into its scabbard, Yi Chen said, "Your ace attack is not perfect, that's all." He was telling the truth. Bing Ling's ace attack looked powerful and unstoppable, but it was not perfect. There were a lot of flaws in it. Perhaps for others, those flaws were not even flaws at all, because she was moving so fast that it would be hard for her to block it out. Finding the flaws and attacking would be suicide. However, Yi Chen was different. His soul power was powerful enough, and his senses were extremely sensitive. Not only did he see through Bing Ling's weakness, but he also attacked it with his extremely fast sword speed, winning the battle instantly. Not perfect. Bing Ling seemed to be thinking about something. Yi Chen did not plan to hide it from her, so he said, "The second you performed the ice crystal fist art, there were obviously a few important Zhenqi roots on your right arm. Normally, these fusion chi roots could be hidden and protected by the ice crystal on the outside, so there would not be any flaws or weaknesses. However, I could tell that you had just learned this attack not long ago, and had not mastered it yet. The Zhenqi roots were quite obvious, and the ice crystal defense was only connected to your forearm. I only needed to cut off one of the important Zhenqi roots, and the ice crystal fist art would be broken on its own." Hearing Yi Chen, Bing Ling gasped. She was not shocked by the weakness of the ice crystal fist art, but by her opponent's attack. As one of the top 3 ace attacks of the ice-breaking fist art, the speed of the fist was extremely fast. Even if there was a weakness, normal people would not be able to compete with it. However, Yi Chen had not only seen through the main Zhenqi roots of the ice crystal fist art, he had also cut one of them with only one sword attack. How fast would it take to do that, and how much control would it take? Looking at Yi Chen, Bing Ling shook her head. "No, I did not lose because of the weakness of the ice crystal fist art. I lost to you." She had known about the weakness of the ice crystal fist art since a long time ago. In fact, all martial arts that had not been trained to completion would have weaknesses. It was common knowledge in the true spirit continent, and she knew about it. However, before she met Yi Chen, she did not think that anyone would be able to defeat her by seeing through the weakness. At most, they would be able to beat her with brute force. Therefore, she did not need to worry or be scared. Who would have thought that in this year's Hidden Dragon rank competitions, there would be a monster like Yi Chen? He was so good at seeing through weaknesses, with such a fast sword speed and control. He was almost a perfect sword artist. Yi Chen did not say anything. What she had said was pretty much the truth. It did not matter whether he had seen through that weakness or not. The key was whether he could hit it or not. If he could not hit it, then what was the point of seeing through the weakness? As for why he had to cut off his opponent's Zhenqi root, wouldn't it have been better to hit her body? At that time, she was almost defenseless. However, if he had done that, although he could have killed Bing Ling, the ice crystal fist art would have landed on his body as well. Even if he did not die, he would be disabled. Plus, it was just a competition, not a battle of life and death. There was no need to fight to the death and ruin the other person's hope. Before she got off the stage, Bing Ling turned around and said, "Thank you for holding back." Cutting off the Zhenqi root on her right arm was no different from cutting off her right arm. Yi Chen had chosen the method that would cause the least damage to her. No, that sword attack did not hurt her at all. Yi Chen touched his nose. "No need to thank me. Cutting off the Zhenqi root was my limit." "Really?" The corner of Bing Ling's mouth twitched. Until now, Yi Chen was still hiding his power. Did he really think that she would not notice? Woo. Letting out a breath, Yi Chen was quite surprised by Bing Ling's power. She had even forced him to use his fast sword attack. Now, he had one less ace up his sleeve. Whatever, if I have to expose myself, then so be it. Even if I have to expose myself, there would not be one more person who would be able to dodge this sword attack. It would still be those few people. As for the fast sword attack that was derived from the lone peak kill, Yi Chen was quite confident. Up until now, the lone peak kill was no longer just a simple lone peak kill. It contained a lot of things, such as the completed poetic perspective of the lone peak kill, the fast sword perspective that was derived from it, and the slow sword perspective that he had not fully understood yet. Plus, he had learned some things recently, which made this attack quite complicated. It could be used separately, and each of them had their own advantages and disadvantages. It would not be any weaker than the lone peak kill. For example, the fast sword perspective, he had already trained it to the point where he could not even see the sword light. If he used it alone, it would still be a killing sword attack. If he could learn the slow sword perspective, then not only would his attacking power increase drastically, the fast sword perspective might even reach a higher level under the stimulation of the slow sword perspective. Why would the lone peak kill become more and more complicated and more powerful? Before, Yi Chen could not figure it out no matter how hard he thought about it. But later on, he realized that it was because of the sword intent. The lone peak kill was the combined sword movement of the lone peak 13 swords, and Yi Chen's sword intent originated from the poetic perspective of the lone peak 13 swords. The connection between the two was extremely complicated. With the improvement of the sword intent, the lone peak kill's sword movement and poetic perspective had both reached the completed realm. It would not be able to increase anymore, but it did not mean that the power would not increase as well. Because sometimes, things were not just one-sided, but multi-sided. For example, when a person's potential had reached its limit, it would be impossible for him to increase anymore. At that moment, if you gave him a more powerful weapon, would his power still be the same? Obviously, that was not the case. With a more powerful weapon, his power would continue to increase. It was the same reason why the lone peak kill had created a lot of powerful poetic perspectives. The lone peak kill was the main body, and the fast sword poetic perspective and the slow sword poetic perspective were temporarily attached to it. They were one. Once the fast sword poetic perspective and the slow sword poetic perspective had improved, the power of the lone peak kill would naturally increase as well. One day, when the fast sword poetic perspective and the slow sword poetic perspective had reached completion, it would be able to break away from the lone peak kill's poetic perspective and become one. It could also be combined to form an even more powerful ace attack. Compared to the lone peak kill's poetic perspective, the sky-shattering cloud's poetic perspective seemed to be a lot purer. Up until now, there were only the poetic perspectives of the clouds and thunder. Plus, the thunder and the clouds already had a huge connection, so it was not like they were attached to each other. It was just a reference. Because of this, Yi Chen had more or less understood the sword intent above the completed sword intent. The Battle King's sword intent had not disappeared for 500 years. Obviously, it could not be achieved with just the pure sword intent. There must be something deeper within it, but Yi Chen had not reached that level yet. All of these thoughts had passed by in just a couple of blinks of an eye. Bing Ling had just walked off the stage. Putting away his Star sword, Yi Chen looked at the judge. Yi Chen wins. The original Group 3 judge came back to his senses and hurried to announce the result. Do any of you know what happened? Can you tell me? Over at the audience seating, people started to discuss and ask questions could be heard everywhere. How would I know? Why would I ask you? Could it be that Bing Ling did not know how to use that movement, and lost the battle herself? Impossible. Didn't you hear what Bing Ling said? Yi Chen had already shown mercy. The question now is, how did Yi Chen make his move? How did he show mercy? There was no trace at all. Bing Ling was already very powerful. She had used all of her ace attacks. Unfortunately, her opponent was Yi Chen. Up until now, he had not lost even once. Yeah. Not to mention what had just happened, the fact that he could beat Bing Ling, who had hidden her power quite well, was enough to prove his power. There is no doubt that he is one of the top young warriors. We are also clasping Yuan realm warriors. I can't believe that we have become outsiders at this moment. This is really killing us. What can we do? Battles between sword artists have always been like this. In the ranking competition, Yi Chen and the heartless sword artist Li Daoxian would definitely have a battle. I think that battle would be even more mysterious. Both of them are top sword artists at the same level. If they were to fight with all of their power, I am afraid that even people would faint. The more they could not understand how Yi Chen had made his moves, the more people were interested in Yi Chen. Humans' curiosity was always uncontrollable, just like how mysterious powerful warriors were unforgettable, and young girls were easily attracted by mysterious men. Li Daoxian took a deep breath and stabilized his emotions. Yi Chen's fast sword attack had made him lose his focus slightly. For a sword artist, it was a very serious problem. A sword artist would have to be absolutely calm at all times. Even if the sky was falling, they would not even frown. Yi Chen, this battle between you and me, bring out all of your power. Only your fast sword attack is not enough to beat me. This time, Li Daoxian did not hide his sword intent at all. In the audience seating, feeling Li Daoxuan's sword intent, the leader of the Heartless Martial School's frown disappeared. He then looked down at Yi Chen, the young sword artist who had surprised him quite a bit. As a powerful Sea of Souls realm warrior, the leader of the Heartless Martial School had seen all kinds of powerful sword artists. But at the Clasping Yuan realm, people who had learned one or two powerful sword art mentalities were not that rare. And up until now, Yi Chen had already performed 4 different sword art mentalities. There was the Cloud mentality, the Thunder mentality, the Illusion mentality, and now the Fast Sword mentality. 4 in total. Among the 4, the Cloud and Thunder were the most common ones. Although Yi Chen could increase their power to a very high level, he still could not go beyond that limit after all. The Illusion mentality was extremely rare, and he was sure that normal sword arts would not be able to create such a horrifying sword art mentality. It should be something that he had figured out himself. Judging from this, he was even more powerful than Li Daoxian. As for the last fast sword mentality, it had shocked him even more. As everyone knew, the simpler something was, the harder it would be to study it. Fast and slow were 2 extremes. Normally, a fast sword art would not be able to create the fast sword mentality, because most of the fast sword arts were not advanced sword arts. Even the ones that could reach the low-rank Earth realm were rare, so how could they contain anything special? At most, they could increase the sword speed through the use of Zhenqi and the posture of the sword attack. However, Yi Chen was different. What he had learned was the poetic perspective of fast sword. It was a poetic perspective that had gone beyond the surface. It was no longer limited to the usage of Zhenqi and the posture of throwing out the sword. Instead, it was a more mysterious way of increasing the speed of the sword, reaching one limit after another. This was extremely horrifying. The Heartless sword art is a top-rank Earthrealm sword art. The emotionless mentality that it has created is extremely horrifying. Combined with the emotionless sword intent, it would be even more powerful. This is Daoxuan's advantage. I hope he can use this advantage to its limit. The leader of the Heartless Martial School still thought that Li Daoxian had a higher chance of winning, but he did not want Li Daoxian to be careless, so he had to give it his all. Chapter 261. In the direction of the Sky Cloud Martial School, Luo Xinglia opened his mouth but did not know what to say. Turning his head, he saw the headmaster and the 4th master had the same expression. The headmaster was the first to come back to his senses. He forced a smile and said, "Leader, we really could not see through Yi Chen." He did not say that he had underestimated Yi Chen, because Yi Chen's power had already far surpassed them. Plus, Yi Chen had been creating miracles for a long time. Right now, it was obviously not appropriate to say that he had underestimated Yi Chen. Once was underestimating, twice and thrice could barely be counted as underestimating, but after 3 times, it would just be blind confidence. Luo Xinglia nodded heavily. Although I am the leader of the Sky Cloud Martial School and have reached the peak level late clasping Yuan realm for a long time, I would not be able to survive one attack from him. He estimated that if he participated in the competitions of the Hidden Dragon rank, he would only be above average, and would not be able to compete with the top martial geniuses. The 4th master said emotionally, in the Windy Nation, besides the astral reaching realm warriors, Yi Chen would be the number 1. If he wanted to, he could totally create a small martial institution. With proper management and no one to suppress him, it would only take him 10 years to grow into a rank 9 martial institution. Yeah, with Yi Chen's power, he would not have to worry about people wanting to join him. But which of you have seen a top martial genius create their own martial institution? Even if you give them the leader position of a rank 8 martial institution, they would not care. Only the leader position of a rank 6 martial institution would be attractive. But of course, not everyone wants power. The headmaster laughed. Although he was shocked by Yi Chen's power, no matter what, the more powerful Yi Chen was, the better it would be. After all, he was a disciple of the Sky Cloud Martial School. Even if he left the Sky Cloud Martial School in the future, he would still be a friend of the Sky Cloud Martial School. Luo Xinglie was in a good mood as he said, "The competitions of the Hidden Dragon rank only happen once every 3 years. Now that Yi Chen and Xu Jing have both achieved amazing results, we do not need to worry anymore. Now, we can just watch the competitions from an appreciative point of view." Besides the martial institution that Yi Chen was in, the other martial institutions were also talking about him. Some of them were friendly, some were curious, and some were evil. In the direction of the Purple Sun School, the leader of the Purple Sun Martial School, Tu Chongshan, had a gloomy look on his face. He was already quite annoyed by the fact that his disciples were not able to keep up with the current situation, and the main culprit was, without a doubt, Yi Chen. Without Yi Chen, his eldest and second disciples wouldn't have died in the Heavenly Dream Ancient region, and if they were still alive, they would definitely have stepped into the Clasping Yuan realm by now. And this was only the direct effect. The indirect effect was that his disciples had lost their leader, and had lost the competitive spirit that they used to have. Their progress would be very slow, and in the long run, the Purple Sun Martial School would definitely decline and be suppressed by the Sky Cloud Martial School. Leader, this brat is no longer someone that Clasping Yuan realm warriors can fight against. Even if we send out dozens of late Clasping Yuan realm warriors, they would not be able to stop him. They might even be killed by him. Are we just going to watch him grow stronger and stronger until he becomes an astral-reaching realm warrior? A core master of the Purple Sun Martial School sent a Zhen Qi message. Tu Chongshan snorted coldly. Watch him grow stronger? In your dreams. Last time, the leaders of the hunting hall didn't kill him, it was our miscalculation. We didn't expect that the Cloud Dreamer would ask the Thunder Freer to escort him out of the Windy Nation. But this time, he will die for sure. The head elder of the Purple Sun Martial School frowned and sent a Zhen Qi message. Do we have to ask the Great Elder to do it? Although the Great Elder can kill Yi Chen, we still need to think about it carefully, in case something goes wrong. The Cloud Dreamer is keeping an eye on the Great Elder. Plus, the leader of the South Rudra Martial School obviously thinks highly of Yi Chen. If she knows about this, she might take this opportunity to wipe out our Purple Sun Martial School. Tu Chongshan shook his head. No, the Great Elder can't do it, but it doesn't mean that we can't do anything to him. There are too many astral-reaching realm warriors in the South Rudra region. Hearing him, the other core elders suddenly realized what was going on. Although the Great Elder couldn't do it, but if they paid a certain price, it would not be impossible to invite an astral-reaching realm warrior who didn't belong to any school to do it. Then, even if the Great Elder was killed, no one would know who did it. A mid-astral-reaching realm warrior might be a bit hard to invite, but a powerful early astral-reaching realm warrior should be no problem. Tu Chongshan sneered. He felt a lot better. The leader of the Emerald Martial School, Zhuang Qingxian, was also feeling uneasy. Yi Chen's progress was simply incomprehensible. During Zhuang Fei's celebration party, he was only at the late condensing reality realm, and when the Heaven Dream Ancient place ended, he was at the early Clasping Yuan realm. It had only been a year since they last met, and he had already reached the late Clasping Yuan realm from the early Clasping Yuan realm. If it was only this, it would not be a big deal. Moreover, his battling power was horrifying. Not to mention the Clasping Yuan realm warriors in the Windy Nation, even in the whole South Rudra region, there were only a few Clasping Yuan realm warriors who could beat him. In other words, the current Yi Chen had become a threat to the Emerald Martial School, a threat to their dominating position. Given time, when Yi Chen became an astral-reaching realm warrior, the Emerald Martial School would not be able to suppress the Sky Cloud Martial School anymore, because with the addition of Yi Chen, the Sky Cloud Martial School would have 2 astral-reaching realm warriors, and at that time, Yi Chen would not be a normal astral-reaching realm warrior. As for the Emerald Martial School, They only had 3 astral-reaching realm warriors, which would not be able to compete with the top-rank 7 martial institutions. I will watch from the sidelines for now. Once the Purple Sun Martial School attacks Yi Chen, they will definitely make their move. Zhuang Qingxian, who was very cunning, did not plan to make his move yet. Not to mention the consequences of this incident, he did not want to make the Purple Sun Martial School take advantage of him. He would wait until the Purple Sun Martial School failed, then he would think about it. Plus, he did not think that the Purple Sun Martial School would fail, because they had failed way too many times. This time, they would definitely make a big move. Looking at Yi Chen, Zhuang Qingxian could not calm down for a long time. Why was he not a disciple of the Emerald Martial School? If he was, how great would that be? Zhuang Qingxian felt that it was a pity that Yi Chen was not a disciple of the Emerald Martial School, but also a pity that a top martial genius was about to fall. Yi Chen did not know what the Purple Sun Martial School and the Emerald Martial School were thinking. Even if he knew, he would not care too much. At most, he would be a bit more cautious. Mo Yang, his ability to see through weaknesses is no weaker than yours. Yi Chen's power had made Lin Yun very uncomfortable. Up until now, he already had the power to fight for the top 5. Therefore, he had to pay attention to him. But before that, it was necessary to provoke Mo Yang a little. Among the young generation, there were a lot of people who liked Murong Qingcheng. Those who did not like her basically did not care about her on the surface, but who knew what they were really thinking. The demon eye Mo Yang did not like Murong Qingcheng, of course, Lin Yun would not believe it. But since Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng were quite close, Mo Yang would definitely mind it. Right now, Yi Chen had revealed his shocking ability to see through weaknesses, which would undoubtedly affect Mo Yang the most. Mo Yang sneered, "There is no need for you to provoke me. There will be a battle between him and me." Lin Yun said, "I think you and I both know about his weaknesses. His martial art rank is obviously low, and his protective Jin Qi layer is not that strong. As long as you can hit him once, it will not be hard to win. The key is how to hit him. His flying art rank is not low at all." The importance of martial arts went without saying. No matter how powerful a martial genius was, they would not mind a powerful martial art, because it would not only increase the quality and quantity of Jin Qi to a higher level, it would also increase the Jin Qi layer of the warrior's protective Jin Qi layer. Situations like this often happened in the martial world. 2 lone warriors with similar power and talent, if one of them had a lucky encounter and got a powerful martial art, and the other one did not, the lone warrior would not even be able to break through the other's defense. Then, the lone warrior would only need one attack, and he would puke out blood and die. Therefore, under the same condition, the rank of the martial arts would be very important. Right then, Lin Yun was a bit glad that Yi Chen had not trained a top-rank Earth Realm martial art. Otherwise, he would not have the confidence to win against Yi Chen, and the possibility of him losing would be huge. Mo Yang did not say anything. How could he not know about Yi Chen's weaknesses? But it would not be easy to hit him. In the battle with Bing Ling, Yi Chen had performed his flying art to its fullest. If it were not for the fact that Bing Ling had used her ace attack, which had increased the attacking range, it would be hard for him to catch Yi Chen's position. With my sky demon eyes, I will definitely be able to see through your movements and beat you completely. Mo Yang took a deep breath and thought to himself. The 9th round of the competition had ended, and the last round of the competition had begun. Without any surprise, Yi Chen's opponent had given up. What a joke! Yi Chen had even beaten Bing Ling. If he did not give up, he would definitely be laughed at by the others. They would think that he had overestimated himself and made a fool out of himself. Group 5 was calm and peaceful, while the group that Mo Yang was in. The second battle, Mo Yang against Tuor Buku. A stone had raised 1,000 waves, and the audience seating was once again heated up. Demon Eyes Mo Yang, the head disciple of the Sky Demon Martial School, ranked 8th in the last Hidden Dragon rank, one of the top young warriors. Tuor Buku had a mysterious background. Among the top 10 new stars this year, he was ranked equal with Yi Chen, one of the new top young warriors. For an old top young warrior to meet a new top young warrior, just the name alone was enough to make people's blood boil. On the battling platform, Demon eyes Mo Yang looked at Tuor Buku coldly. Up until now, Tuor Buku had not lost a single battle yet, and was on par with Yi Chen. Unfortunately, it was him who had seen through all of his opponent's weaknesses. Haha, finally a powerful one. Let's do it. Tuor Buku laughed out loud once he got on the platform, his battling intent rising. Sky-reaching hand. Mo Yang moved. He extended his body, leaving layers of shadows behind him, dragging them far away. He waved his hand, and countless black palms attacked towards Tuor Buku. Not enough, not enough. Show me something more exciting. Tuor Buku stood there and took an attack from his opponent. Even his protective Zhenqi layer was not broken. What? This defense is way too horrifying. Mo Yang's attack could not even break through his defense. He is indeed worthy of being ranked equal with Yi Chen in the top 10 new stars. Just his defense alone is enough to make people speechless. I wonder what Mo Yang can do. The crowd discussed in a low voice. Mo Yang squeezed his eyes. When he opened them again, a dark red light shot out from his pupils like two beams of light. In his sight, Tuor Buku's protective Zhenqi layer showed different colors. There were a couple of red dots, which were the weak points of his protective Zhenqi layer. Shoo! His body disappeared all of a sudden, and Mo Yang appeared in front of Tuor Buku. He put up his index and middle fingers, poking at the weak spot of his protective Zhenqi layer. Swoosh! His protective Zhenqi layer had been punctured through, and that sharp finger light landed on Tuor Buku's body. Tuor Buku could not stop that attack and was blown away into the air. He finally landed on the light wall and stood up like a mountain. There was a small hole in his chest, but his skin was not hurt at all. Mo Yang's deadly attack still could not break through Tuor Buku's defense. Everyone was shocked. Chapter 262. Yi Chen could not help but be shocked. Back in the north of the Black Dragon Empire, Tuor Buku had taken one of his punches without being hurt at all. At that time, Yi Chen was not surprised at all, because the 5-mountain godly fist art was only a mid-rank Earthrealm fist art. Even with 50,000 pounds of physical strength, it would still not be as powerful as his sword art. Facing some clasping Yuan Realm warriors with extremely powerful defense, it would naturally not be effective. However, even if Mo Yang's attack had not been at 100% of its power, it would still be at least 80 to 90%. Still, it could not break through Tuor Buku's defense, which was quite shocking. A peak-rank Earth-realm defensive technique seems to be more than that. There were a lot of martial arts in this true spirit continent, and they all focused on different things. Some focused on attacking power, like Lu Hanshan's Great Rudra godly art, some focused on speed, like Wu Liangyu's Black Crow great art, some contained special effects, like Murong Qingqing's Sky Demon great art, some focused on defense, and were called defensive martial arts. Tuor Buku should have trained a defensive martial art. Defense cultivation techniques and body forging cultivation techniques were a bit similar. From the outside, the physical defense was very high. However, from a more detailed look, defense cultivation techniques and body forging cultivation techniques were completely different. Defense cultivation techniques attached body protection Zhenqi to the surface of the body, and did not directly increase the physical defense. Body forging cultivation techniques, on the other hand, allowed Zhenqi to merge into the body and produce strength, directly increasing the physical defense. Tuor Buku had obviously trained a top-rank Earthrealm defense martial art, and he had trained it to its 10th level. But, a 10th level defense martial art would definitely not be able to block out Mo Yang's attack. Don't forget that Mo Yang had also trained a top-rank Earthrealm martial art, so it would be at its 11th level. If it was at its 11th level, then it might actually be able to achieve this kind of effect, since defense martial arts were all about defense. Mo Yang was both shocked and furious. What kind of joke was this? He couldn't break through the defense. Demon Spirit Finger, break for me. His index and middle fingers were dyed black as Mo Yang yelled and pointed at Tuor Buku's ribs. Good timing. Wild God Fist. Tuor Buku did not try to dodge at all. He threw out a punch, planning to trade wound for wound. He had no concept of defense or dodging at all. With a punch, a dragon roared and a tiger roared, and the air collapsed. Facing this punch, Mo Yang even felt so tiny, as if he was admitting defeat. He could not help but be shocked. His finger attack could indeed wound Tuorbaku, but he knew very well that Tuorbaku would only be slightly wounded, and would still be able to fight. But if he was hit by this punch, he would at least be badly wounded. Ghost Shadow Perplexing Steps. His body flashed, and Mo Yang's body blurred, as if he had turned into a black chi flow. He dodged Tuorbaku's deadly punch and went around to his back. Kai. As he pointed out his finger, Tuorbaku's protective Zhenqi layer had been punctured through. His 2 fingers, which were dyed black, stabbed right into his body. Just when he was about to move forward and cause more damage, a layer of dark blue light blocked out his finger light and bounced back, almost breaking his fingers. How is this possible? Even the demon spirit finger couldn't do much damage to him. Mo Yang hurriedly retreated. His facial expression changed again and again. Turning around, Tuorbaku touched his back. There was a shallow finger hole, about half an inch deep. Blood was pouring out of it. Very good. Now I am going to use my real power. Without wasting any more time, Tuorbaku's body shook, and his aura increased drastically. Blue veins popped out of his neck, and his face turned red. He reached out both of his arms, and the muscles on his arms bulged out. There was a dark blue light inside, which looked like snakes and dragons. Ruin 18 fist attacks. Taking a step forward, Tuorbaku threw out a punch towards Mo Yang. Then, the second punch and the third one followed right after, blocking all of Mo Yang's escape routes. Mo Yang pushed his Ghost Shadow Perplexing Steps art to its limit, traveling between the incoming fist power. It looked extremely dangerous, like a small boat in the middle of a huge ocean. He could die at any second. However, being one of the top young warriors, Mo Yang would naturally not lose so easily. Until Tuorbaku threw out his 17th punch, he still could not hurt Mo Yang. 18th fist attack, brutal dragon movement. As he threw out a punch, the fist power turned into a dragon, waving its claws and roaring into the sky. It opened its mouth and bit onto Mo Yang's body, bringing him towards the dark blue light wall. When it was less than 3 meters away from the light wall, the dragon-shaped fist power suddenly cracked open, and Mo Yang jumped out from within. His face was pale, and there were some bloodstains on his body. The heavenly demon eye that came with the heavenly demon art was not just for show. Being bitten by the dragon-shaped fist power, Mo Yang activated the heavenly demon eye and soon found the weakness of the fist power. With a single finger, he broke the restriction. If it were anyone else, they would definitely be helpless. Interesting. An excited light flashed through Tuorbaku's eyes. Ever since he left the place where he had lived for more than 10 years, besides the battle with the powerful warrior Yi Chen, he had not met any worthy opponents yet. All the battles before were just for fun. Murong Qingcheng shook her head. Her head disciple had met his nemesis. Facing Tuorbaku's super powerful defense, the sky demon eyes that could see through all the weaknesses had been pushed aside. Judging on Zhenqi capacity and attacking power, Tuorbaku was still slightly more powerful than her head disciple. Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng had the same opinion. Among all the contestants, Tuorbaku was without a doubt Mo Yang's biggest nemesis. It did not mean that Mo Yang was weak. In fact, his overall power was almost the same as Tuorbaku's. If it were someone else who had the same power as Tuorbaku, Mo Yang would not be in this kind of situation. He might even have the upper hand. Thinking about that, Yi Chen could not help but be shocked by Tuorbaku's defense. Back in the north of the Black Dragon Empire, Tuorbaku did not use all of his power. As for the reason, he did not really know. Mysterious spirit finger. Performing his ghost shadow art again, Mo Yang's eyes were cold and sharp. He pointed out his index and middle fingers, and that finger light shot towards Tuorbaku's throat. Tuorbaku threw out a punch, his fist power covering that finger light. Hey! That punch had missed. That finger light was very unpredictable, as if it could teleport. It suddenly appeared right in front of Tuorbaku's face, seeming like it was about to destroy his attack. Right then, Mo Yang did not plan to think about anything else. As long as he could beat Tuorbaku, it would be fine. Therefore, he decided to attack Tuorbaku's eyes, trying to blind him. This Mo Yang is so cruel. Other wounds could still be healed, but blindness would be almost impossible. Unless he could find some rare spirit medicine or reach the life and death realm, he would be blind for the rest of his life. What else can he do? Tuor Buku's defense is just too insane. Regarding Mo Yang's method, everyone had different opinions. Tuor Buku performed his flying art for the first time. He bent his back, looking like a huge dragon swimming in the air, barely dodging that finger light. Mysterious spirit 7-finger. Mo Yang sneered as he reached out both of his hands, shooting out 7-finger light in a row. Swoosh. Tuor Buku's flying art was still not as good as Mo Yang's. Although he had dodged 6 of the finger light, he would not be able to dodge the last one. Luckily, he managed to tilt his head at that critical moment. That finger light did not hit his eyes, and only his eyebrows were shaved off. It was not Tuor Buku's style to be attacked passively. He did not wait for his body to stabilize before he threw out a punch onto the ground. The blue and black light spread out like waves, turning into a Jinchi black dragon, attacking toward Mo Yang. Mo Yang was about to perform his flying art to dodge when the Jinchi black dragon suddenly exploded. It turned into a black halo and shot out, landing on his protective Jinchi layer. Boom. Mo Yang was blown backward. His previous small wound combined with the new wound made him unable to hold it anymore. He puked out a huge chunk of blood. Brutal dragon movement. Without stopping, Tuor Buku threw out another punch. The fist power turned into a dragon and bit onto Mo Yang's body for the second time, bringing him toward the dark blue light wall. A loud sound was heard as Mo Yang fell onto the ground. Tuor Buku wins. The judge announced the result in time. Mo Yang's wound was not light, and everyone from the Sky Demon Martial School must be panicking. They would not dare to waste any more time. Hehe, this is great. Tuor Buku was enjoying himself. It had been a long time since he had this kind of feeling. Looking at Tuor Buku, who only had one eyebrow left, Yi Chen shook his head and laughed. It was Mo Yang's misfortune to run into him. But even if he could not run into him now, he would still run into him in the ranking competitions. It would be impossible for him to avoid it. Plus, he and the top young warriors would each have their own battles, including Murong Qingcheng. Yi Chen looked over at Murong Qingcheng, and she happened to look over as well. Murong Qingcheng smiled lightly and said with her Zhenqi, "In the ranking competitions, I will not give up." Of course. Yi Chen would not underestimate Murong Qingcheng, because judging from her soul power, she was even more powerful than Mo Yang, just like the fire spirit prince Yang Qihua, Lin Yun, and the heartless sword artist Li Daoxian. No one would believe it even if he said it out. Although there was a difference in power and battling power, and the more powerful warriors might not be able to beat the slightly weaker ones, the more powerful ones would have a higher chance of winning. It was rare for the weaker ones to beat the stronger ones after all. Plus, Murong Qingcheng was one of the calmest warriors he had ever met. She could be ranked in the top 3, and Lin Yun and Mo Yang were both weaker than her in terms of calmness. The two looked away and did not look at each other again. The 10th round of competitions was a bit slower. It was the last round, and a lot of the young warriors who might be able to make it to the next round had revealed all of their ace attacks. Whether they could make it to the hidden dragon rank or not, it all depended on this moment. After a while, Xu Jing had beaten her opponent and was ranked 4th in the ranking. She would definitely make it to the hidden dragon rank. Right now, only Lynch was left on the stage. After 2 battles, Lynch went up. His opponent was not easy to deal with. His score was 1 point higher than his. One of them was ranked 10th while the other was ranked 11th. Whoever lost would probably fall out of the top 12 and lose the chance to make it to the hidden dragon rank. The battle had been going on for a long time, and both of them had been wounded. Raw. As his Zhenqi was running out, Lynch had exploded. He did not care about his defense at all as he attacked his opponent in a brutal and bloody way. It seemed like he was going to risk his life. His opponent was very strong, but unfortunately, he was not as brave and fearless as Lin Qi. Under Lin Qi's crazy attacks, his opponent retreated again and again. In the end, he revealed a flaw and was defeated by Lin Qi, whose white clothes were stained with blood. Right now, Lynch was almost certain to make it to the hidden dragon rank. Time flew like water. After half an hour, the 10th round had finished completely. The top 12 warriors of each group would make it to the hidden dragon rank and become the new powerful warriors on the hidden dragon rank. The rest of them would lose the chance to make it to the hidden dragon rank. However, those who were older than 21 years old would still have a chance to make it to the next hidden dragon rank. Chapter 263. Those who are not involved, please leave. The head judge stood up right then. He pushed his Zhenyuan and raised his voice so that everyone could hear him. Hearing him, all of the young warriors who had been eliminated walked out of the battling ground. There were only 72 people left, who were indeed the powerful warriors in this year's hidden dragon rank. All right, you all stand on the battling platform and accept the baptism of the dragon fountain chi. Do not panic when the time comes. The head judge was very familiar with the competitions of the hidden dragon rank, so he knew some of the secrets of the hidden dragon ancient city. Shoo, shoo, shoo. Most of the young warriors had participated in the competitions of the hidden dragon rank before, so they were not surprised at all. Only a small part of the young warriors who had not heard much of the news were a bit confused. However, seeing the others flying onto the battling platforms, they did not say much and followed suit, standing with the people who were close to them. There were 6 battling platforms in total on the abyss. The number of people on each platform was different. Some had more than 20 people, while the others only had 7 or 8 people. On the 5th battling platform, Yi Chen, Xu Jing, and Lynch stood together. Next to them were the young warriors from the other few countries around the Windy Nation. Yi Chen said, "I think this dragon fountain chi is related to luck. I wonder how it will baptize us." Xu Jing was just about to say something when she suddenly noticed that more than 50% of the young warriors had something different on their bodies. Outside of their bodies, countless dragon-shaped shadows were waving their claws, roaring towards the sky. The dragon-shaped shadows were of different sizes, clear and blurry, majestic and weak. Among them, Sikong Sheng and the other top young warriors were the most powerful. The dragon-shaped shadows outside of their bodies were 70 to 80 meters long, with clear shapes and majestic expressions. A strange pressure had covered the whole place. This is the dragon fountain chi? Lynch seemed to be thinking about something. Yi Chen looked around and realized that all the warriors with dragon-shaped shadows outside of their bodies were all the powerful warriors from the last hidden dragon rank, who had been baptized by the dragon fountain chi. Meanwhile, the new young warriors were just like them, with nothing different on their bodies. They all looked at each other. After about a quarter of an hour, the faint roar of a dragon came from the abyss between the stages. Immediately after, streams of dragon-shaped chi rushed out and entered everyone's body. Soon after, they drilled out again and floated outside their bodies. Yi Chen was slightly surprised. Just now, he clearly felt the existence of the dragon-shaped chi flow. It first entered his body through his Baihui acupoint, and then circulated through his flesh and bones. Finally, it escaped from various acupoints in a unique way and formed a dragon-shaped shadow outside his body. It might have been an illusion, but Yi Chen sensed that his condition had improved. Ours are only this small. Look at them, they are all 3 to 4 zhong in size, and there are even some that are 7 to 8 zhong in size. Some of the up-and-coming youngsters didn't understand what was going on, and were discussing spiritedly amongst themselves. The contestants from the last hidden dragon rank already had dragon-shaped shadows floating outside of their bodies. After the dragon-shaped chi flow had been poured in, the dragon-shaped shadow had become even bigger, almost twice its original size. For example, the dragon-shaped shadow outside of Sikong Sheng's body was already the biggest, reaching 8 zhong. But now, it had become around 8 and 20 meters long. Standing on the battling platform, it was extremely eye-catching. The fire spirit prince Yang Qihua, the heartless sword artist Li Daoxian, Lin Yun, Bing Ling, and Mo Yang were all above 7 zhong. Murong Qingcheng was also more than 5 zhong. As for the new young warriors like Yi Chen, their dragon-shaped shadow was only 3 meters long, which was nowhere close to these people. Steel. Yi Chen and Xu Jing looked at each other. If their guess was right, the dragon vein chi was not static. There should be some way to steal the opponent's dragon vein chi. However, this was a competition, so there was only one way to steal it, and that was to defeat the opponent and win the competition. In the audience seating, Luo Xinglia smiled and said, "Right now, the dragon fountain chi can only increase one's luck, and cannot be used on the martial institutions. Once we get back to the martial institutions, the dragon fountain chi will be infused into the foundation of the martial institutions to increase their luck. As for the mysteries, I don't think even the Seas of Soul's Realm warriors would be able to understand them all." The head elder of the Sky Cloud Martial School said, "Then, after this competition, let Yi Chen go to the Sky Cloud Martial School first. It depends on his personal will. We can't force him. However, he will most likely go back. The dragon vein chi can not only bring prosperity to the sect, but also the clan." The leader of the Purple Sun Martial School, Tu Chongshan, looked at the dragon vein chi on the young warriors with envy. If the Purple Sun Martial School also had the dragon vein chi, they would definitely continue to prosper. However, all of this had been ruined by him. He looked at Yi Chen, and a deep killing intent flashed through his eyes. The leader of the Emerald Martial School, Zhuang Qingxian, thought to himself, "The Emerald Martial School has been dominating the Windy Nation for a long time. Even without the dragon vein chi, they would still continue to prosper. It will not be easy for the Sky Cloud Martial School to catch up. When the next Hidden Dragon rank competition starts, the Emerald Martial School will definitely have the dragon vein chi again." Both of them valued the dragon vein chi very much. Plus, the dragon vein chi in the Hidden Dragon Ancient Place was different from the outside world. The dragon vein in the Hidden Dragon Ancient Place was the main dragon vein in the whole South Rudra region. The dragon vein chi that was produced was extremely powerful and full of luck, which was very important to the development of the martial institutions. After all, who would not want their own martial institutions to be covered with luck and have many geniuses? Awoo. Waiting until the dragon-shaped shadow on the young warriors' bodies had stabilized, the 8-foot-long dragon-shaped shadow outside of Sikong Sheng's body suddenly roared into the sky, looking extremely majestic. Right after that, the dragon-shaped shadows outside of Yang Qihua and Lin Yun's bodies also started to roar, followed by Li Daoxian, Bing Ling, and Mo Yang. In the end, the dragon-shaped shadow outside of Yi Chen and the rest's bodies started to roar as well. However, compared to those people before them, their roars seemed to be very weak, and did not have enough power. From this, it could be easily seen who had more dragon fountain chi. Sikong Sheng made a face and said lightly, "In the past 1,000 years, the largest dragon-shaped shadow had only been 28 meters. This time, I want to reach 23 meters and surpass the ancient warriors. 9 is the most powerful part of the dragon-shaped shadow. Head brother, you are way more powerful than them. It will be easy for your dragon-shaped shadow to grow to 23 meters. Indeed. Head brother, you have the king-level bloodline inside your body. Together with the 23 meters dragon-shaped shadow, it will be perfect. The others will just be the background for you." There were a lot of powerful warriors in the Floating Mountain Martial School. The few core disciples did not think that Sikong Sheng would lose the first-place title. Once he got enough dragon fountain chi, it would be very easy for his dragon-shaped shadow to grow to 23 meters, since this year's Hidden Dragon rank competition would be the most exciting one in the past 1,000 years. Yang Qihua and Lin Yun looked at Sikong Sheng at the same time. "This time, I will not only beat you, but also increase my dragon-shaped shadow to 23 meters. Sikong Sheng, wait for me. No matter who it is, they will all be defeated by me, Lin Yun. As for the dragon fountain chi, I will take it all." The difference between the first and second place of the Hidden Dragon rank's dragon-shaped shadow was too huge. Sikong Sheng was the first place, and his dragon-shaped shadow had reached 23 meters. Meanwhile, Yang Qihua, who was ranked second, had only reached 23 meters, and Lin Yun, who was ranked fifth, had also reached 23 meters. In other words, the difference between the second place and the top 10 was not that big. Only the first place was the most powerful, and the gap between the two was very obvious. Correspondingly, the luck of the first place could be compared with 2 or 3 top 10 warriors, which was very eye-catching. Chapter 264. The ranking competition had not yet begun, but the gazes of the younger generation were no longer the same. It was an undisguised fighting intent. Tuor Buku glanced at Sikong Sheng, then glanced at Yi Chen. In his eyes, there were only these two that he could not see through, which was extremely horrifying. Sikong Sheng's power did not even need to be mentioned. He was ranked number 1 in the last hidden dragon rank, and had the bloodline of a king. His attacking power was extremely powerful, and it was definitely not something that one could handle with brute force. And then there was Yi Chen. If Sikong Sheng was a flying dragon that everyone knew about, then Yi Chen would be a hidden dragon hiding in the deep abyss. No one would know how much potential he could bring out until the critical moment. Whether or not the hidden dragon would shock the whole world would still need to be confirmed. Of course, Tuor Buku was not looking down on the other top young warriors. In fact, besides Sikong Sheng and Yi Chen, he did not have much of a chance to win against the other top young warriors. For example, the Fire Spirit Prince, Yang Qihua, who was ranked 2nd in the last hidden dragon rank. His blade art was unparalleled, and his aura was aggressive. Each movement of his was wide open and could split the sky and the ground. He was definitely a horrifying warrior. Lin Yun's aura was slightly weaker than the others, but his chi was way too powerful. With Tuor Buku's experience of training his defensive martial art to its 11th level, Lin Yun had definitely reached this level, and should not be underestimated. Li Daoxian did not seem to be that famous, but in this true spirit continent, who would dare to underestimate a sword artist who had learned the sword intent? Once a sword artist threw out a sword attack, it would be the moment of life and death. Lastly, Murong Qing Cheng. Facing this extremely mysterious and attractive girl, Tuor Buku had the feeling that he was facing Yi Chen. It was not the pressure from her chi, nor the dominance of her temperament. It was a horrifying feeling of being shrouded in a dense fog that people could not see through. There are too many experts. It won't be easy to carve out a bloody path. Tuor Buku was a carefree and fearless person, but he could not help but shake his head. He was not an idiot who would rush forward whenever he saw a powerful warrior. Actually, every time he encountered a powerful warrior, he would evaluate his opponent's power. On the other battling platform, Bing Ling, who had recovered to her peak condition, frowned. Before she came here, her lowest goal was to get into the top 3 of the hidden dragon rank. But now, it was basically impossible for her to get into the top 3. She might be able to fight for the top 5, but she was very clear that the battles for the top 5 would be even more intense than she had imagined. At this moment, the head judge spoke again. After a day of continuous competition, everyone is a little tired. If you don't have enough stamina for the ranking competition, you won't be able to handle it. Therefore, before the ranking competition, there will be 3 days of rest. Everyone, try your best to adjust your condition to the peak. You must participate in the most difficult competition with your strongest abilities. Now, everyone, go back and rest. The ranking competition will officially begin in the morning 3 days later. Just as he finished speaking, all of the young warriors who had entered the ranking got off the platform one after another. The head judge was right. After a whole day of competition, all of their spirit and chi had been exhausted. This kind of exhaustion was something that they themselves could not even notice. Once they entered into a high-intensity competition, or a battle with a powerful warrior with similar power, even the slightest bit of difference would be enough to make them regret for the rest of their lives. They are not tired, but I am a little tired. My eyes are getting sore. 2 stages of the competition, thousands of battles. Even if we only watch 1/10 of them, our eyes would still be tired. Going back and resting for 3 days would be great. Otherwise, when the top young warriors battle, we might not be able to see the results. Hearing him, all of the warriors who were watching the battles left without a trace of dissatisfaction. 3 days had passed in the blink of an eye. On the morning of the 4th day, the audience seating was filled with people, and the sound of their voices could be heard everywhere. Looking at the 6 battling platforms above the abyss, they had already merged into one, forming a 300 meters long and 200 meters wide rectangular battling platform. The battling platform was still surrounded by a dark blue light wall. Outside of the light wall was a bottomless abyss, where chi flow was surging. At the 9 entrances that led to the surrounding areas of the battling platforms, the young warriors walked in groups of 3 to 5, including Yi Chen and Xu Jing. The atmosphere is different. Once he entered the arena, Yi Chen could immediately feel the intense atmosphere, and a lot of it was directed at him. It was not surprising though, since the previous competitions were only for eliminating the unqualified warriors. Those who were supposed to make it to the next level would still make it to the next level, and there would be no conflict. But now, it was different. All of the warriors present were powerful warriors who had made it to the hidden dragon rank. The higher the rank, the more powerful the dragon fountain chi would be, which would bring unimaginable benefits to themselves, their martial institutions, and their families. On the path of a warrior, if one did not move forward, one would fall behind. It was also very suitable for the competitions of the hidden dragon rank. Yi Chen had even sensed that there was a subtle atmosphere between the disciples of the same martial institution. Although it was a little warmer and more subtle, there were still quite a lot of sword lights and sword shadows. Facing the competitions of the hidden dragon rank, not to mention the disciples of the same martial institution, even brothers would have to compete to see who was better. Plus, if one did not use all of his power, the others might not show any mercy. After everyone had arrived, the head judge started to announce the rules of the competitions. The hidden dragon rank competitions were also known as the super points competitions. The competitions would be held on the same battling platform, and would be divided into 71 rounds. Each round would have 36 battles, which meant that there would be one opponent in each round, and 71 rounds would have 71 opponents. In this situation, there would be a battle between all 72 people, which was unavoidable. As for those who had already fought against each other in the elimination competitions, they could still fight again in the ranking competitions. It would be up to them whether they wanted to give up or not. No matter what, the loser would have a part of their dragon fountain chi taken away, while the winner would have their dragon fountain chi strengthened. Of course, the 71 rounds of competitions would not be held in one day. When the sky was getting dark, the competitions for the day would be finished, and the competitions would continue the next morning. Therefore, the time of each hidden dragon rank competition would be different. The shortest would be 2 to 3 days, while the longest would be 4 to 5 days. If there were some special circumstances, it would even be delayed to ensure that it would be as fair as possible. 71 rounds of competitions, 36 battles in each round. This way, everyone's power would be exposed gradually, and no one would be able to hold back. Maybe we will see the battles between the top young warriors in the first few rounds. Yeah. This possibility is very high. You guys have not watched the last hidden dragon rank competitions, right? This possibility does not exist. Later, the 13 judges will vote for the 10 seeded warriors, and the battles between the seeded warriors will be in the last 9 rounds. It will not be brought forward. Oh, I see. Just like what this person had said, the head judge had already discussed with the 12 judges about the 10 seeded warriors. Xikong Sheng will definitely make it, and Yang Qihua, Li Daoxian, Lin Yun, Bing Ling, Mo Yang is qualified as well. Right now, there are 6 seeded warriors. I think Tuor Buku is qualified. Yeah, Tuor Buku is very powerful. He is definitely qualified to be in the top 5. I would like to recommend Murong Qingcheng. Her power is no weaker than Mo Yang's. Then, only the last 2 are left. This is easy. Yi Chen is definitely a seeded warrior. If he does not make it, people would think that there is something fishy going on. Hehe, I don't need you to tell me. Yi Chen is definitely in there. I am thinking about the 10th seeded warrior. Do you think it should be Chen Yun or Jiu Yuyun? This is indeed a bit hard to choose. Chen Yun is the second disciple of the rank 6 martial institution, the Sunset Martial School, and is very powerful. Jiu Yuyun is the second disciple of the rank 6 martial institution, the Floating Mountain Martial School, and has the Stone King bloodline. The power that she has shown would not be weaker than Chen Yun at all. No matter who I choose, the other one will not be happy about it. What can we do if we are not happy? We are the judges, and the job of choosing the seeded warriors falls on us. There is nothing we can do about it. How about this? Let's all vote, and whoever has the most votes will be the seeded warrior. The other things have nothing to do with us. Alright, I choose Chen Yun. I choose Jiu Yuyun. What was more dramatic was that Chen Yun and Jiu Yuyun had the same number of votes, which were both 6. Obviously, in the eyes of the judges, it was indeed hard to tell who was more powerful. The good thing was that including the head judge, there were 13 judges in total. Right now, only the head judge had not voted yet. Whoever he voted for would be the seeded warrior. It could be said that one vote would decide everything. The head judge took a deep breath and said, Jiu Yuyun. In the end, the 10 seeded warriors were announced. They were Xikong Sheng, Yang Chihua, Li Daoxian, Lin Yun, Bing Ling, Mo Yang, Tuo Buku, Murong Qingcheng, Yi Chen, and Jiu Yuyun. Regarding this result, Xikong Sheng and the rest did not look surprised at all. All 13 judges were astral-reaching realm warriors, and they would be able to judge one's power from their qi. Adding all the performances in the previous competitions, it would be too easy for them to pick out the 10 seeded warriors. Only Chen Yun looked very upset. He had not been chosen. Although the seeded warriors might not be able to make it into the top 10, it was still a shame for him, a huge shame. Just you wait. I will make you regret not choosing me. Chen Yun looked very bad. He was not happy about the judge's decision. The leader of the Sunset Martial School and all of the core masters were also not happy about it. No matter how they looked at it, Chen Yun did not seem to be at a disadvantage. However, he was still not a seeded warrior, which had undoubtedly humiliated the Sunset Martial School. But of course, no matter how unhappy they would not say anything. The 13 judges were chosen by all of the leaders of the South Rudra region. No matter how arrogant the Sunset Martial School was, they would not criticize the judges recklessly. Plus, the competitions of the Hidden Dragon rank were extremely sacred. Even life and death realm warriors would not dare to mess around. As long as Chen Yun works hard, we will get our Sunset Martial School's face back. The leader of the Sunset Martial School let out a breath and said lightly, If I had known this earlier, I would have asked Chen Yun to show more of his power in the elimination competitions. Don't worry. Although the top 5 might be a bit difficult, the top 10 should be very promising. I hope so. Although people from the Sunset Martial School were very confident in Chen Yun, the appearance of Yi Chen and the other young warriors had made them feel threatened. Otherwise, Chen Yun would not have failed. Second brother disciple, you have to work harder. The luck of the Sunset Martial School is on you now. The head disciple of the Sunset Martial School was sitting among the core masters. He was ranked number 6 in the last Hidden Dragon rank. If it were not for the fact that he was over 24 years old, he would definitely be able to make it to the top 10. But what could he do? Even the eldest prince of the Black Dragon Empire, who was ranked number 3 in the last Hidden Dragon rank, was over the age limit. His power was no weaker than Yang Chihua. As the head judge announced the names of the 10 seeded warriors, there were more or less some discussions among the audience. Not only the second disciple of the Sunset Martial School, Zhong Feng, who was ranked number 9 in the last Hidden Dragon rank, and Jiu Qing, who was ranked number 10 in the last Hidden Dragon rank, had also failed. Jiu Yuyun was quite lucky. In this year's Hidden Dragon rank competitions, there were 2 top young warriors who were over 24 years old who did not participate. Otherwise, the competition for the 10 seeded warriors would be even more intense. You must be talking about the eldest prince of the Black Dragon Empire and the head disciple of the Sunset Martial School, right? Indeed, I wonder what level their strength has reached now. The ranking competitions have begun. Everyone's eyes landed on the battling platform in the middle. Chapter 265. The 300-meter-long, 200-meter-wide battling platform was huge. It stood in the middle of the abyss all by itself, attracting a lot of attention. Right then, the first battle was happening on the platform. Both contestants were not weak. One was at the mid-clasping Yuan realm, while the other was at the peak-level early-clasping Yuan realm. Both of them performed their ace attacks as soon as they got on the platform, without any intention of testing each other. Eventually, the mid-clasping Yuan realm warrior won the battle. A shocking scene occurred. After the victor was decided, the dragon-shaped phantom outside the victor's body flew out and pounced on the loser's body. Visible to the naked eye, the dragon-shaped phantom outside the loser's body shrank by a size, shrinking from 1 jong to 9 feet. As for the victor's dragon-shaped phantom, it grew to around 11 jong. I knew it. Yi Chen did not need to guess to know that it was a way to steal the dragon fountain chi, which was not controlled by the contestant. The battles went on one after another, and soon, it was Lynch's turn. His opponent was a warrior who was ranked at the bottom of the last hidden dragon rank. His dragon-shaped shadow was around 1 meter long, but after being beaten by Lynch, it had shrunk a lot, from 1 meter long to 1.5 meters. Meanwhile, Lynch's dragon shadow, which was originally 1 meter long, had shrunk to 1.5 meters. Xu Jing seemed to have figured it out. The richer the opponent's dragon fountain chi, the more dragon fountain chi one would get after beating him. Yi Chen nodded. On the other hand, if the winner's dragon fountain chi was more abundant, and the loser's dragon fountain chi was weaker, then the amount of dragon fountain chi one could get would be less. Perhaps, there would not be any increase at all. The dragon-shaped shadow outside Sikong Sheng's body was around 8 meters long and 2 meters long. If he randomly beat a young warrior, he would be able to get a lot of dragon fountain chi. After a couple of battles, the dragon-shaped shadow would be able to reach 9 meters, which was obviously against the rules. That was why Yi Chen had made this assumption. What Xu Jing and Yi Chen had guessed was not wrong. Then, there was a young warrior who had beaten a young warrior who was ranked quite high in the last hidden dragon rank, and the dragon-shaped shadow had increased by a lot, almost by half. On the other hand, a young warrior who was ranked quite high in the last hidden dragon rank had beaten a young warrior, and the dragon-shaped shadow had only increased by a very small amount, not even 1 foot. There were 36 battles in 1 round, and each battle would have 2 people battling. After 1 round, everyone would have a chance to go on stage. This time, it was the fire spirit prince, Yang Chihua. His opponent was a young warrior who was ranked at the bottom of the last hidden dragon rank, who was only at the early clasping Yuan realm. I admit defeat. The young man admitted defeat without hesitation. Raw. It was unknown what was so mysterious about the illusory dragon. As soon as his opponent admitted defeat, it leaped out from Yang Chihua's body and devoured the latter's illusory dragon. However, no matter how much it swallowed, it was still 25 feet long. There were no changes to it. The difference between the two was too great, so it was difficult for it to gain anything. The 24th battle, Yi Chen against Mo Wuxue. Before Yi Chen showed up in the world, Mo Wuxue was the most powerful warrior among the young generation of the 9 nations. Even Yuan Hongying and Lu Jiao were slightly weaker than him. But now, he was only a kid in front of Yi Chen. There was no comparison at all. Lightly tapping his foot on the ground, Yi Chen appeared on the battling platform, looking at Mo Wuxue who was in front of him. Mo Wuxue's pupils shrank. Right now, Yi Chen was giving him too much pressure. Not to mention Yi Chen's late clasping Yuan realm cultivation, only his 50% sword intent was already enough to shock the entire 9 nations. Before he entered the Heaven Dream ancient region, he didn't even have the interest to look at Yi Chen. Calming himself down, Mo Wuxue said, "1 blade attack, what do you think?" He didn't expect to beat Yi Chen, he only wanted to know how big the gap between them was. "Sure." Yi Chen said lightly. "Shoo." Without much hesitation, a blood-red long blade appeared in Mo Wuxue's hand. This blade was something he got from the Heaven Dream Battle Palace. It was the top of the low-rank Great Blades. Its power was almost equal to a normal mid-rank Great Blade. Taking the blade out of the scabbard, a thin beam of blood flashed out, and an air-tearing sound was heard. The Starscar sword was pulled out by 3 inches, a beam of sword light shot out, cutting the blood beam in half. The remaining power of the sword light did not disappear. It landed heavily on Mo Wuxue's protective Zhenqi layer. Mo Wuxue's protective Zhenqi layer had been shattered. A woo. A dragon roar was heard. The dragon-shaped shadow outside of Yi Chen's body jumped onto Mo Wuxue's body, devouring his dragon fountain chi. Within a blink of an eye, the dragon-shaped shadow returned, from 1 meter long to 16 meters long. Not only had it grown a lot bigger, but it also looked a lot clearer, with a serious look on its face. The gap is unimaginable. Mo Wuxue forced a smile. After Yi Chen got off the stage, the next battle was none other than Xikong Sheng. His opponent was not weak either, it was Teng Mo, who was ranked 19 in the last Hidden Dragon rank. Without a doubt, Teng Mo had lost, and he did not even choose to give up. After devouring Teng Mo's dragon fountain chi, Xikong Sheng's dragon-shaped shadow was still 2 meters long. Looking at it more carefully, it was only half a foot longer, and that was because Teng Mo was ranked pretty high in the last Hidden Dragon rank. If it were another young warrior, it would not even be 1/10 of a foot longer. The battle was carried on in an orderly manner. As long as it was a top young warrior, his opponent would either give up or decide the winner with one attack. The result was obvious. The gap between them could not be seen clearly, because they did not even have the power to force out 50% of their power. After Murong Qingcheng had beaten her opponent, it was Xu Jing's turn. The 27th battle, Xu Jing against Qi Xiaofeng. Qi Xiaofeng was ranked 38th in the last Hidden Dragon rank. The gathering in the Three-River City of the Spirit Nation was organized by him. Back in the 100,000 Mountain Forest, Yi Chen had even saved his and Murong Qingcheng's lives. He was very powerful. His weapons were 2 special weapons, the waning moon curved wheel. The dragon-shaped shadow outside of his body was 12 meters long, and had an abundant dragon fountain chi. Within 100 attacks, the two were evenly matched. After 100 attacks, Xu Jing was getting more and more powerful. Her whole body was covered by a layer of golden light. It was not Shen Qi, but the materialized form of Qi power. Judging on the destructive power, it was way more powerful than most Shen Qi, which made Qi Xiaofeng feel quite exhausted. After 158 attacks, Qi Xiaofeng's palm had gone numb, and he could not hold his weapon anymore. Xu Jing seized the opportunity and threw out 3 punches in a row. After devouring a part of Qi Xiaofeng's dragon fountain chi, the dragon-shaped shadow outside of Xu Jing's body had grown extremely fast. Within a blink of an eye, it had expanded to almost 10 meters, which was no weaker than the middle-ranked young warriors in the last Hidden Dragon rank. You are quite powerful. I almost do not want to beat you anymore. Losing one part of dragon fountain chi would not make any difference. Lin Yun was very excited. If he could, when he met Xu Jing again, he would definitely not devour her dragon fountain chi so that she would remember him. Unfortunately, the dragon fountain chi could not be controlled. Once it sensed something, it would jump out on its own, and he would not even be able to stop it. You have overestimated yourself. Tuor Buku made a face. Although he did not care about Xu Jing's power, the person behind her was Yi Chen. Among all the warriors, only Xikong Sheng and Yi Chen had given him a mysterious feeling. The others were slightly weaker. The first round had finished, and the second round began immediately. After 5 rounds, Yi Chen's dragon-shaped shadow had grown to 28 meters. His luck was not that good, as all the opponents he had met were not that powerful. After 5 rounds, none of them were as powerful as the one where Xu Jing had beaten Qi Xiaofeng. Among them, the luckiest one would be Tuor Buku, who had beaten Zhong Feng, who was ranked 9th in the last Hidden Dragon rank. His dragon-shaped shadow had grown to 12 meters. Added with the previous 4 battles, it had grown to more than 12.5 meters, which was almost as powerful as the top 30 warriors in the last Hidden Dragon rank. In the 6th round, Yi Chen had finally met an opponent who had a very rich dragon fountain chi. It was Kui Xiao, who was ranked 15th in the last Hidden Dragon rank. After devouring his opponent's dragon fountain chi, Yi Chen's dragon-shaped shadow had grown to 12 meters. Among all the young warriors, he was only second to Tuor Buku. Lynch was not that powerful after all. He had lost 3 and won 3 out of the 6 battles, and his dragon-shaped shadow was still at 18 meters. Xu Jing had won 6 battles in a row, and her dragon-shaped shadow was still at 19 meters. Soon, the 7th round of the competition had finished. The 8th round. Yi Chen's opponent was Ji Yuqing, who he had never fought before. Ji Yuqing was ranked 10th in the last Hidden Dragon rank. His dragon-shaped shadow was originally 21 meters long, but after winning 7 battles in a row, it had grown to 21 meters. Take my blue cloud 9 attacks. Ji Yuqing had no reason to give up right away. In fact, he really wanted to fight against Yi Chen, who was good at attacking the weak spots. Only battles like this would allow him to notice some of the flaws that he had not been able to notice and perfect them. Chin. Taking out his Starscar sword, Yi Chen held the long sword in his hand and pointed in the air. Ji Yuqing's continuous stick art had been broken immediately. He had only performed one attack, and the other 8 attacks had all been blocked. How is this possible? Ji Yuqing was shocked. The blue cloud 9 attacks were all connected. If it were the last few attacks that had been broken, he would have been able to understand it, since the later attacks would be harder to control, and there might be flaws. However, the first few attacks did not have any flaws at all. Yi Chen said, I have seen the blue cloud 9 attacks once. It is indeed a very powerful attack. Each stick attack is faster than the last, but the first to the second attack is the slowest part. As long as the sword speed is fast enough, you will be able to find that crucial point. Right now, what you need to pay attention to is not the speed, but how to make it uneven so that people will not be able to grasp the pattern. Thank you. Ji Yuqing thought about it. Just like what Yi Chen had said, the previous blue cloud 9 attacks had been connected one after another, and each stick attack was faster than the last. However, the first to the 9th attack would take time, and people would not be able to watch you perform it all the way until the 9th attack. If you wanted to increase your speed, the weakness would still be there, but it would be reduced by a lot. After all, there would always be people who were better than you. No matter how fast your attacking speed was, there would always be people who were faster than you. Therefore, if you wanted to make up for this weakness, the only way would be to make people unable to grasp the pattern. Thinking about that, Ji Yuqing could not help but admire Yi Chen. The first few attacks of the blue cloud 9 attacks were not fast, but it was actually already very fast. Only his opponent could find the gap and hit the crucial point with one sword attack. I give up. There was no need to compete anymore, since Ji Yuqing had already learned a lot. Awoo. Ji Yuqing had just finished speaking when the dragon-shaped shadow outside of Yi Chen's body jumped over. When it came back, the 43 meters dragon-shaped shadow had already grown to 57 meters, which had surpassed Tuobuku and was the same as Murong Qingcheng. Chapter 266. A. This dragon fountain qi has the effect of nourishing the spirit and qi. When the dragon-shaped shadow was only 43 meters long, it was only good for the condition, as it would not be easily affected by negative emotions. However, after growing to 57 meters, the spirit and qi that Yi Chen had lost had obviously been replenished. Spirit and qi were the most important things in the human body, and would be consumed in everything they did. For example, raising one's hand would consume a little bit of spirit, and speaking a word would consume a little bit of spirit and qi. However, the consumption was so small that it could be completely ignored. But what was undeniable was that spirit and qi were indeed being consumed all the time, and would need to be replenished through careful rest. Otherwise, it would have a big or small effect. After 7 or 8 battles, Yi Chen had consumed a little bit of spirit and qi, but right now, it had been replenished completely. Thinking about it, Yi Chen could easily think of training. Training for warriors would consume a lot of spirit and qi. Ever since he had the spirit replenishing pellets, qi replenishing pellets, and spirit replenishing pellets, Yi Chen's training speed had increased drastically. He was no slower than any of the martial geniuses. The reason why he could reach late clasping Yuan realm within 1 year was all because of these 3 pellets. Right now, with the dragon fountain qi that could replenish his spirit and qi, together with the spirit and qi replenishing pellets, his training speed would definitely increase to the next level. No wonder the warriors in the last hidden dragon rank could train faster than the others. It must be because of the dragon fountain qi. Yi Chen thought to himself. The 10th battle, Jiyu Yuyun against Qian Yun. Jiyu Yuyun was the second disciple of the floating martial school. Just like Qian Yun, she did not make it into the last hidden dragon rank. She was only 19 years old, and she was very small and pretty, just like the girl next door. She did not seem to have the Stone King bloodline at all. Compared to Jiyu Yuyun, Qian Yun looked more arrogant and aggressive. Whenever he opened and closed his eyes, there would be a bright light shining. The two had formed a huge contrast. I don't care what Stone King bloodline you have. I will beat you. Qian Yun naturally knew that it was Jiyu Yuyun who had stolen his seeded contestant status. He planned to use all of his power to beat her and show everyone that only he could be a seeded contestant. Please. Jiyu Yuyun cupped her fists. Qian Yun said impatiently, there's no need for pointers. You and I have to decide who's the winner. Take this. Yelling in a low voice, Qian Yun extended his body and appeared in the sky above Jiyu Yuyun. He threw out a palm attack. This palm strike was like a thunderbolt, as if it had stirred up all the clouds in the sky. It was the top-rank Earth Realm martial art of the Sunset Martial School, the Purple Sunset Thunder Palm. Crack. Jiyu Yuyun was not surprised at all. She swung her fist to meet the attack. With a loud bang, the two of them flew backward. Cloud Shadow. Since his palm attack had failed, Qian Yun performed his high-rank Earth Realm flying art, Phantom Cloud Shadow. His body flashed once and disappeared from where he was standing. When he reappeared, he was already right next to Jiyu Yuyun. Then, his body was like a ghost, like a cloud, circling around Jiyu Yuyun. Bang 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 bang. Being caught off guard, Jiyu Yuyun was hit 6 times in a row. Her protective Zhen Qi was almost shattered, and her blood and Qi were boiling. It looked like she was going to lose. Stone King Protective Fist Art. In that critical moment, Jiyu Yuyun stabilized her Qi and blood. She lowered her center of gravity and pushed out all of her Zhen Qi, throwing it out along with her fist aura. After throwing out one punch, her protective Zhen Qi had increased by 1%. By the third punch, her protective Zhen Qi had increased by 3%. Qian Yun had not only failed, but had also lost his balance because of the fist power. It is the Stone King's unique martial art, the Stone King Protective Fist Art. This fist art is different from most other fist arts. It focuses more on defense, but its attacking power is weaker. With this fist art, it would be impossible for Qian Yun to finish the battle quickly. Now, let's see who has more stamina. Qian Yun had never seen such a weird fist art before. It could actually strengthen his protective Zhen Qi and shake away part of his power. Then let's see if your Stone King Protective Fist Art is more powerful, or my Purple Sunset Thunder Palm. Giving up on using his flying art, Qian Yun threw out all of his attacks, attacking towards Jiyu Yuyun one after another. Pap! Pap! Within a blink of an eye, the two had exchanged dozens of attacks. The sky was filled with palm shadows and fist shadows. Thunder 4 movement. As the battle reached its climax, Qian Yun yelled out and threw out both of his palms. All of a sudden, the sky was filled with thunder and lightning. The sound was not any weaker than the thunder in the sky. There was obviously the poetic perspective of thunder contained within. The protective Zhen Qi layer outside of Jiyu Yuyun's body started to peel off layer by layer. It started to weaken rapidly as she backed out 4 steps, leaving 4 deep footprints on the battling platform. Sunset 5 movement. Qian Yun was not going to let his opponent go easily. Before the Thunder 4 movement was finished, he performed the last movement of the Purple Sunset Thunder Palm, the Sunset 5 movement. Compared to the Thunder 4 movement, the Sunset 5 movement's attacking speed was much faster, and it had endless power. Jiyu Yuyun did not even have the chance to fight back. She could only passively step back, and step back again. Even with the Stone King Body Protective Fist ART's buff, the Zhen Qi layer outside of her body had already been weakened to the point where it could break at any second. In everyone's eyes, Jiyu Yuyun was basically going to lose. Only Yi Chen and a few other people could see that something was not right. Every time Jiyu Yuyun backed out, a wave of power would be accumulated inside her body. This power was not released at all, but it was getting stronger and stronger. In the end, it was already showing signs of breaking through. Waiting until the last movement of Qian Yun's Sunset 5 movement landed, Jiyu Yuyun did not back out. Instead, she moved forward and fought back like a thunderbolt. The aggressive fist power was like a collapsing mountain. The Stone King's anger. It was said that the Stone King was a good-tempered man back in the day, and would not get angry easily. No matter how his opponents tried to provoke him, he would not fight back. However, once his emotions had accumulated to the limit, anyone who tried to provoke him again would face the Stone King's anger. Not many people knew how horrifying an angry Stone King could be, because they were all dead. Strangely, the good-tempered Stone King ended up with enemies everywhere. After his death, even his bloodline was almost wiped out. No one knew why. The Stone King protective fist art was a top-rank Earthrealm fist art created by the Stone King. The Stone King's anger was one of the top 3 ace attacks. Right then, she performed it with a horrifying aura, as if the space was about to be shattered by her. Pooh! Puking out a large amount of blood, Qian Yun was blown backward. This little girl is not simple. She is able to stay so calm and turn the situation around at the last second, beating Qian Yun. Unless she could easily break through Jiyu Yoyun's protective Zhenqi layer, once the Stone King's anger comes out, anyone who is more powerful than her would lose. There are not many people who could break through her defense. Jiyu Yoyun's defense is even more powerful than Bing Ling's. The Stone King protective fist art is not something to be trifled with. Everyone was quite impressed with the Stone King's martial art, so they could not help but think more highly of Jiyu Yoyun. A part of his dragon fountain chi had been taken away, and Qian Yun's heart was bleeding. He had lost the battle that he was so confident in, and in such a strange way. Thank you. Jiyu Yoyun looked like she was from a powerful family. She held her fists together again before leaving the stage. However, this made Qian Yun even angrier, as he thought she was mocking him. It was already the afternoon, and the competition had already reached the 19th round. Yi Chen had won 18 battles, and his dragon-shaped shadow had finally reached beyond 5 meters, reaching 21 meters. However, Tuor Buku had also caught up, and was at 21 meters, while Murong Qingcheng was at 63 meters. The three's dragon fountain chi was almost the same, and they could easily surpass any warrior with a rich dragon fountain chi. Unfortunately, Yi Chen had encountered a young warrior who was ranked 14th in the last hidden dragon rank. After taking away his opponent's dragon fountain chi, his dragon-shaped shadow had grown again, reaching 24 meters. Judging on the amount of dragon fountain chi, he was already in the top 20 of this hidden dragon rank. Xu Jing had won 15 out of 18 battles, and her dragon-shaped shadow was 12 meters long. Lynch had won 9 out of 18 battles, and his dragon-shaped shadow was around 25 meters. As for Xikong Sheng and the rest of the warriors, their growth was very small. Xikong Sheng was still 24 meters, while Yang Qihua was 25 meters, Li Daoxian was 24 meters, and Lin Yun was 24 meters. All of them had grown within 1 or 2 feet, and could not be like Yi Chen and the rest, who had grown at an insane speed. When the 21st battle had ended, the sky had turned dark. The head judge announced that the battles for the day had ended, and it would continue tomorrow morning. Under everyone's expectation, the long night had passed by slowly. The second morning. Battles continued to happen on the battling platform. The 22nd battle had ended. The 33rd battle had ended. The 38th battle had ended. Until the 39th battle had ended, the dragon-shaped shadow outside of Yi Chen's body had grown to 24 meters, only one step away from 24 meters. Up until now, there were only 10 warriors who had reached 24 meters in dragon-shaped shadow. Among them, 6 of them were old top young warriors, and the other 4 were the top 10 young warriors in the last hidden dragon rank. They were quite lucky, as they had not encountered any top young warriors, and were still undefeated. As for Tuor Buku, Murong Qingcheng, and Jiyu Yoyun, they were just like Yi Chen, still not able to reach 24 meters. Zhong Feng, who was ranked 9th in the last hidden dragon rank, and Jiyu Qing, who was ranked 10th, could have made it, but unfortunately, they had lost to Tuor Buku and Yi Chen respectively. Right now, they were only around 6 meters, which was still a long way away from 24 meters. The 5th battle of the 40th round, Yi Chen against Liu Chuan. Liu Chuan was indeed the young warrior who was ranked 13th in the last hidden dragon rank, and whose dragon-shaped shadow had reached 22 meters. However, when he found out that his opponent was Yi Chen, he could not help but feel nervous. Although he knew that there would be a battle, when the time came, he was still a bit annoyed. Increasing his Zhenqi layer to its limit, Liu Chuan stared at Yi Chen cautiously. Facing this year's top young warrior, it was not that he did not want to be lucky. Sky-shattering clouds. Yi Chen did not plan to waste any more time. He held his sword with both of his hands and threw out a sword attack. Thunder and lightning appeared in the sky, and the wind started to pick up. An invisible massive sword chi was thrown out with the sky full of thunder and lightning. Liu Chuan, who was prepared for this, was shocked. He had only managed to dodge half of the attack, while the other half had completely shattered his Zhenqi layer. Half of his body had gone numb, and he had lost the battle within a second. Awoo! The dragon-shaped shadow jumped onto Liu Chuan's body, then turned back. Right now, the dragon-shaped shadow was 23 meters long. Chapter 267. The 20-jong-long dragon-shaped shadow had a huge body and a majestic look. It circled around outside of Yi Chen's body and roared towards the sky. The powerful dragon roar had even attracted the dragon-shaped shadows of Sikong Sheng and the other 8 warriors to roar as well, as if they were competing with each other. This feeling is so strange. My spirit, chi, and soul are not damaged at all. Instead, they are getting stronger and stronger. My condition has reached another level. Before, in order for Yi Chen to maintain his peak condition, he would have to use his sword intent to cut out all the distracting thoughts and get rid of all the negative emotions. But now, with the rich dragon fountain chi, he would not have to worry about his condition declining anymore. He would be able to stay at his peak condition all the time, and it would even increase steadily. I wonder what would happen when the dragon-shaped shadow reaches 90 jongs. 9 was the highest number in the world. Before, it was almost impossible to reach 90 jongs. However, this year's hidden dragon rank would be the most popular one in the past 1,000 years, so it would not be impossible for it to reach 90 jongs. The 9th battle of the 40th round, Xu Jing against Wei Renjie. 3 battles away from Yi Chen, Xu Jing appeared. Her opponent was Wei Renjie, who had reached the entry-level blade intent. He was ranked 37 in the last hidden dragon rank. According to Yi Chen's estimation, he should be able to make it into the top 25 this year, which would be a powerful opponent for Xu Jing. The dragon-shaped shadow outside of Wei Renjie's body was also 50 jongs long. Together with his muscular body and the long blade in his hand, he looked like a powerful blade artist. Chin. Taking out his long blade, the blade light was like water. Wei Renjie said to Xu Jing, "You are worth my full power." There were not many young warriors who were worth Wei Renjie's full power. Those top young warriors were not worth it anymore, they were simply unbeatable. He would not be interested in those who were too weak. Although Xu Jing was not as powerful as Yi Chen and Tuor Buku, she was definitely one of the top warriors among the young generation. If he did not use all of his power, Wei Renjie might lose. Even if he used all of his power, he would not have the confidence to win against Xu Jing. Xu Jing said lightly, "You are worth my full power as well." The two stopped talking and stared at each other. Wei Renjie made the first move. Driven by his small success saber intent, his sharp saber chi was like a peerless fierce dragon, slashing toward Xu Jing, who was dozens of meters away. Before the saber chi arrived, the air around Xu Jing's body had already started to disintegrate. Her soft long hair fluttered in the wind along with her white clothes. Vast divine fists. Xu Jing took a step forward, and the air vibrated. Her jade-like fist drilled out of her sleeve and punched the incoming blade chi. Creak. The blade chi twisted and shattered, turning into specks of white light. "All right, raging waves." Wei Renjie boldly rushed up and slashed with his saber in the air. The saber light was like a tide, rolling and surging. That kind of artistic conception that could drown and devour everything was obviously the artistic conception of water or the artistic conception of the sea. It was majestic and magnificent. This Wei Renjie is indeed powerful. Although he isn't at the level of the young giants, there aren't many who can beat him in blade techniques. That's right. Besides the fire spirit prince, Yang Qihua, there aren't many who can compete with him in blade arts. I wonder, between him and Xu Jing, who would be better? The warriors in the audience seats were all discussing. Facing this blade attack, Xu Jing looked very serious. She made a fist with her right hand, and there was a golden light moving around inside, as if she was holding a golden flame. She threw out a punch toward the incoming saber light. Rumble. This punch was extremely powerful. The saber light had a gap in it, and the saber intent realm had a flaw. It was not able to form a complete attack. Shoo, 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 shoo. Even though the saber intent had been broken, Wei Renjie was not happy or angry. He turned his body and flew toward Xu Jing like a dragon. His majestic step art was also quite ingenious. It contained the snake movement, which was powerful while the snake movement was tricky. The combination of the two seemed to be quite contradictory. Mid-rank Earth Realm flying art, dragon snake step art. Xu Jing felt the difficulty of this step art. She kept backing out, trying to avoid the best rhythm of the dragon snake step art. She did not want to give Wei Renjie any chance to attack. Flying dragon riding the clouds. Seeing that he could not attack, Wei Renjie changed his step art. He got rid of the tricky snake movement and changed it to the majestic dragon movement. With one step, he appeared above Xu Jing and threw out 3 blade attacks in a row. Unexpectedly, Xu Jing was already prepared. Once she saw her opponent change his step art, she changed it as well. Her toes touched the ground and she jumped up into the sky. Her right fist carried a soaring aura as it exploded. Clang! The fist and the blade clashed together, causing sparks to fly everywhere. So powerful. Wei Renjie's arm had gone numb, and he had almost lost his grip on his great blade. He could not help but be shocked as he threw out a punch with his left hand. Xu Jing used the same move as before. She blocked with her right arm, blocking Wei Renjie's punch. Boom! The two of them separated right after they clashed. Neither of them could do anything to the other. This is my self-created swimming dragon blade art. I hope you can block it out. Once his feet landed on the ground, Wei Renjie combined with his blade. His body was like a dragon, and his blade was like a dragon. He threw out a blade attack towards Xu Jing. There was no poetic perspective, no sound or light, it was just a smooth movement. What? Wei Renjie can create his own blade art? He is only at the clasping Yuan realm. Normally, astral reaching realm warriors would not create their own martial arts, because it would not only take a lot of time and effort, but it would also take a long time to perfect it. It would not be worth it, unless he could make sure that the created martial art was almost perfect. While everyone was talking, Wei Renjie's attack had already arrived. With a clanging sound, Xu Jing's gloves emitted a blazing flame, and she was forced to take more than 10 steps back, her body staggered unsteadily. Haha, take another one of my attacks. Wei Renjie was not going to stop. He performed his swimming dragon blade art again and again. Each time, he would be able to push Xu Jing back for dozens of steps. His blade aura was like a rainbow. Off the stage, Yi Chen studied Wei Renjie's swimming dragon blade art carefully. He eventually realized that it was not a complete blade movement. A complete blade movement would have to have a matching Zhenqi root and poetic perspective. The swimming dragon blade art not only lacked poetic perspective, but also did not have the best Zhenqi root. Even so, Wei Renjie was able to create a blade movement, which was already something to be proud of. Of course, Yi Chen also had the ability to create 1 or 2 movements. In fact, if he wanted to create a sword movement, it would definitely be twice as powerful as the swimming dragon blade art. But right now, no matter how powerful Yi Chen's sword movement was, it would still not be as powerful as the lone peak kill and the sky-shattering clouds. Wei Renjie was Wei Renjie, but Yi Chen was him. The swimming dragon blade art might be powerful for Wei Renjie, but it was nothing special for Yi Chen. If it were him instead of Xu Jing, he would only need one glance to find the weakness and beat Wei Renjie. Therefore, either he did not create his own martial art, or he had to create a martial art that would be useful to him. Otherwise, he would not do something that would not bring him any benefits. For him, time was extremely precious, and he did not have that much energy to waste on things that could not help him increase his power. Backing out again and again, Xu Jing soon reached the dark blue light wall. There was nowhere else for her to go. Lose. Wei Renjie yelled as he threw out a smooth blade attack towards Xu Jing. Boundless killing fist art. At that critical moment, Xu Jing had finally found the weak spot of the swimming dragon blade art. She had prepared for it in advance, throwing out a punch with a powerful destructive poetic perspective onto the blade light. Boom! The blade light was shattered. Blood leaked out from the corner of Wei Renjie's mouth as his body was blown away. As Xu Jing had beaten Wei Renjie, the dragon-shaped shadow outside of her body had stolen her opponent's dragon fountain chi. It had expanded to almost 15 meters. The 40th round had ended, and the 41st round had begun. Yi Chen was facing Qian Yun. Mad Thunder 4 movement. Without any intention of testing, Qian Yun threw out all of his attacks, aiming at the weak spot of Yi Chen's protective Zhenqi layer. Although the movements are powerful, they are a bit messy and not pure enough. Shaking his head, Yi Chen took out his Starscar sword and threw out a sword attack at Qian Yun's weakest spot, breaking his Mad Thunder 4 movement instantly. Before his opponent could react, Yi Chen threw out a sword light and pierced through his protective Zhenqi layer. Instant kill. Qian Yun was not Bing Ling had a powerful Zhenqi layer, but Qian Yun did not. Therefore, in front of Yi Chen, he could only be killed within a second. Since the fast sword was not a secret anymore, it did not matter how many times he used it. Plus, facing Xikong Sheng and the others, the effect of the fast sword would be limited. Not only did the younger generation suck in a breath of cold air, but most of the cultivators in the spectator stands were also dumbfounded, as if they had seen something unbelievable. Qian Yun, who had almost become a seeded contestant, could not even survive one sword attack from Yi Chen. If it were before, they would definitely think that it was fake news, and would not choose to believe it. But right now, it had happened right in front of their eyes, and they could not help but believe it. How powerful is Yi Chen? Comparing sword arts and eyesight, Wei Renjie, who had created his own movement, is no different than a kid in front of him. This is the real killing sword art. Jiyu Yoyun's eyes were wide open as well. Qian Yun, who she had spent so much effort to beat, could not even handle one sword attack from Yi Chen. What a monster! After devouring Qian Yun's dragon fountain chi, Yi Chen's dragon-shaped shadow did not grow that much. It had only grown from 21 meters to 21 meters. However, his opponent's dragon-shaped shadow did not decrease much either. If Yi Chen wanted to increase his dragon-shaped shadow drastically, he would have to beat the top young warriors who had the most powerful dragon fountain chi and the other 3 warriors who were ranked 10th or so and had better luck. Time passed by quietly. The second day had passed quickly, and it was already the afternoon of the third day. After beating the other 3 warriors whose dragon-shaped shadows had reached 21 meters, Yi Chen's dragon-shaped shadow had never been so powerful before. It had grown to 25 meters. Of course, the top young warriors from the last hidden dragon rank had also grown. Xikong Sheng had reached 24 meters, Yang Qihua had reached 29 meters, Li Daoxian had reached 28 meters, and Lin Yun had reached 28 meters. Bing Ling and Mo Yang were slightly weaker. Right now, they were only 26 meters, which was not that far away from Yi Chen. Tuor Buku and Murong Qingcheng had also caught up. One was 23 meters, and the other was 24 meters. Jiyu Yuyun was right behind them, who was 22 meters. The rest of the warriors had lost too many battles, so none of them had reached 22 meters. The Dragon Fountain Chi had basically gathered on the top 10 seeded contestants. It was unknown if it was a coincidence, but when the third day had finished, there had been 62 rounds of battles, and there were exactly 9 rounds of battles left. In the last 9 rounds of battles, the top 10 seeded contestants would not run into anyone else. There would be battles against each other, and none of them would be missing. Because in the previous 62 rounds of battles, they had already beaten 62 people. There were only 9 seeded contestants left besides themselves. All of the warriors who were watching the battles felt their blood boiling. By the next morning, they would be able to see the battles between the top young warriors. One battle after another, it would be hard for them not to be excited. Chapter 268. Early in the morning, The whole hidden dragon ancient city was boiling. Looking down from the sky, one could see countless streams of people moving towards the battling field in the central area. Right then, there was still some time before the battle began. Yi Chen, just try your best. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. In the yard, everyone from the Sky Cloud Martial School had already finished washing up. Luo Xinglia said to Yi Chen. Yi Chen nodded. Leader, don't worry. What should be mine will be mine. Since he had joined the Hidden Dragon rank competitions, Yi Chen's goal was to be the champion. It was very simple. All right, let's go. On the battling field, everyone's eyes were all on the top 10 seeded contestants. The rest of the young generation had become the background. The 13 judges are indeed very good. The top 10 seeded contestants had not lost a single time in the previous 62 battles. There is no doubt that they will be in the top 10 this year. I thought Chen Yun would have the chance to be in the top 10. Who knew that he had not only lost to the top young warriors, but also to Jiyu Yuyun, Yi Chen, Tuo Buku and Murong Qingcheng. He would not be able to be in the top 10 at all. It is the first time that a disciple from the Sunset Martial School has not been in the top 10. What else can we do? This year's young generation is just too shocking. Chen Yun's power is a bit weak after all. He is not as powerful as the head disciple of the Sunset Martial School. While everyone was discussing, the first beam of sunlight shone over from the east and landed on the battling platform. The head judge stood up. The 63rd round of the battles begins now. The first battle was not a battle between top young warriors. It was the third knight from the Moon Pavilion and Wei Renjie. The third knight was tall and skinny, with a normal appearance. He looked to be around 22 or 23 years old, and his power was much higher than the fourth knight. After dozens of rounds, the third knight had barely won against Wei Renjie. The second battle was also not a battle between top young warriors, which made everyone a bit disappointed. It was not until the sixth battle that two top young warriors got on the stage. They were Tuo Buku and Jiyu Yuyun. Tuo Buku's background was mysterious, and no one knew where he came from. In all of the previous battles, his defense was very famous. Even the head disciple of the Sky Demon Martial School, Mo Yang, could not break through his defense. Towards the end, Mo Yang had made up his mind and tried to take out Tuo Buku's eyes. Unfortunately, he had still lost to Tuo Buku, which made the audience have a new understanding of Tuo Buku's defense. As the descendant of the Stone King, Jiyu Yuyun was not as bright as Sikong Sheng, and her talent was not that amazing either. However, the Stone King's bloodline had brought her a huge potential, which allowed her to catch up and become one of the top young warriors. With her Stone King body protective fist art, she had beaten Chen Yun, who was a threat to her, and made it into the top 10. The battle between the two had aroused countless people's interest. Everyone wanted to know which one was more powerful, Tuo Buku's defensive martial art or Jiyu Yuyun's Stone King body protective fist art. Please enlighten me. Jiyu Yuyun was still polite as she clasped her fists. Tuo Buku laughed. Why would there be so many rules in a martial competition? But, your power is not bad, and so is your Stone King body protective fist art. Take one of my fist attacks first. Without performing his savage godly fist art, Tuo Buku threw out a brutal fist attack with only his own power and Jin Qi. The fist power was like a mountain. Boom. Jiyu Yuyun threw back a fist attack. The two were evenly matched. Alright. Now, I would like to try your ace attack and see how powerful the Stone King's anger is. Tuo Buku jumped into the air and threw out his Ruin 18 fist attacks. Boom. 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 The Ruin 18 fist attacks were one of the ace attacks of the Ruin Godly fist art. Each movement did not carry any fancy tricks, it was all about brutal power and overwhelming aura. There were only two ways to break the Ruin 18 fist attacks. One would be to use an even more powerful power to shatter Tuo Buku's fist aura, and the other would be to use an extreme technique to break it. Both of them were extremely difficult. Tuo Buku's fist art was already powerful and heavy, and it would be impossible for Jiyu Yuyun to surpass him in this aspect with her current power. But, the extreme technique would be even more difficult, since once the power reached a certain level, the warrior would have the power to beat everything. Under such circumstances, The technique would have to reach another level in order to be able to break the Ruin 18 fist attacks. Obviously, Jiyu Yuyun had not reached the requirement in both areas. Therefore, she had to perform the Stone King's exclusive martial art, the Stone King Body Protective Fist Art, in order to strengthen her protective Jinchi. Tuor Baku's fist aura was getting more and more powerful, more and more brutal. Qian Yun's Thunder 4 movement and Sunset 5 movement were like a kid holding a wooden hammer in front of him. So powerful. In Jiyu Yoyun's eyes, Tuor Baku was like a mountain, a wild mountain that was rushing towards her at a high speed. Not to mention fighting back, she could barely even defend. Her chi and blood had been shaken by the fist aura, and her Jinchi was boiling, almost exploding out of her body. The 16th punch. Tuor Baku threw out a punch. The air was torn apart, bringing up a series of booming sounds. Crack. Her protective Jinchi layer was about to shatter. Jiyu Yuyun bit on her lower lip, trying her best to defend. She thought to herself, just a little bit more, just a little bit more. The more pressure I get, the more powerful the Stone King anger will be. The 17th punch. A dragon roar and tiger roar was heard. Tuor Baku's punch seemed to have brought Jiyu Yuyun back to the ancient times, where danger was lurking everywhere. Boom. Jiyu Yoyun's protective Jinchi layer had finally been shattered. However, by then, her fist aura had already accumulated to its limit. The Stone King anger took the opportunity to explode. It had not only shattered Tuor Baku's fist power and aura, but had also been thrown back along with the Stone King anger. Facing this horrifying punch, Tuor Baku's protective Jinchi layer had been shattered, and his body had been blown away. Testing the attack with his own body. This Tuor Baku's defense is indeed powerful. Yi Chen was extremely observant. Although the power of Tuor Baku's Savage 18 fist art had not been reduced by much, its speed had obviously been reduced. Plus, the power of the 17th punch and the 16th punch were almost the same. He must have saved some of his power. Otherwise, Jiyu Yuyun would have been defeated by the 17th punch, and there would be no chance for her to perform the Stone King anger. Tuor Baku had done this because he wanted to see how powerful the Stone King anger was. Lynch was surprised. You mean, Tuor Baku did it on purpose? He was extremely talented in blade arts, but he was slightly weaker in other areas. Before Yi Chen could answer, Xu Jing said, it is not entirely on purpose. Jiyu Yoyun's protective Jinchi layer and the Stone King anger are indeed very powerful. Tuor Baku did not underestimate her. When he performed the 17th punch, he had already prepared to defend, using all of his power to block out the power of the Stone King anger. Stepping on the dark blue light wall, Tuor Baku flipped his body and landed on the ground. He looked down at his chest, where his clothes had already been torn apart, and there was a light fist mark on his muscles. It was black and blue. He could not help but praise, impressive. Luckily, I had prepared my defense beforehand. Seeing that the Stone King anger could not do anything to Tuor Baku, Jiyu Yuyun let out a sigh of relief and said, "You win." Tuor Baku chuckled as the dragon-shaped shadow outside his body jumped towards Jiyu Yuyun. After devouring a part of the dragon fountain chi, it had grown to 26 meters, which was even bigger than Yi Chen. The two got off the stage, and the 7th battle began immediately. The 11th battle, Murong Qingcheng against Bing Ling. Just as the head judge finished his sentence, a huge commotion came from the audience seating. Among the top 10 seeded contestants, there were only 3 young girls, Murong Qingcheng, Bing Ling, and Jiyu Yuyun. Jiyu Yoyun's temperament and appearance were not as good as the other two, so naturally, her popularity was not as high as theirs. Murong Qingcheng was one of the top 2 beauties of the Black Dragon Empire. Although she was wearing a light veil that covered half of her face, only the shape of her face was enough to shake people's hearts. Combined with her mysterious and noble temperament, she had won over countless young warriors. Bing Ling's temperament was completely different from Murong Qingcheng. The former was mysterious, while the latter was cold. Her delicate facial features and cold aura combined together, making her look like a snow lotus that grew in an ice mountain, cold and elegant. Both of them had reached the top young warriors level, and their appearances were also extremely beautiful. Once they got onto the stage, They had caused a huge commotion. Bing Ling is one of the top young warriors from the older generation. Murong Qingcheng is not really a rising star, but she has also just started to rise this year. I wonder who will be more powerful. It does not matter who wins or loses. Among the young generation of girls in the South Rudra region, they are the top two. If I could get their attention, I would be willing to lose 10 years of my life. If you are willing, why would they not be willing? But you are right. Murong Qingcheng and Bing Ling could be considered as the top two martial geniuses in the South Rudra region. In the recent generation of the true spirit continent, I think they are only second to Xian Hu. Xian Hu is not someone that a country or a region could compare with. She is not only the #1 martial genius in the past 1,000 years, but also the #1 beauty of the true spirit continent. Compared to her, there would be a huge gap. Even martial geniuses like Sikong Sheng would be beaten by her. No one would be able to call themselves the #1. The #1 martial genius in 1,000 years. She would not be inferior even in the ancient era. Xian Hu had indeed made all the other martial geniuses feel hopeless. I wonder who would be able to break this record. Alright, the competition is about to start. Xuanho's name was known by everyone in the true spirit continent. As long as someone talked about top martial geniuses, people would subconsciously compare her to them. Everyone watching the competition was no exception. Shoo! Murong Qingcheng's body flashed, her purple clothes fluttering in the air. She disappeared from where she was standing like a bubble. When she reappeared, she was already on the stage. In front of her, Bing Ling's body was surrounded by a freezing cold qi. Wherever she went, the water yuan qi in the air would be frozen, turning into tiny ice crystals that fell onto the ground. Glacier break. Feeling the pressure brought by Murong Qingcheng, Bing Ling attacked first. She performed the ace movement of her ice break fist art. Pop! When the freezing fist power was still 10 meters away from Murong Qingcheng, it suddenly exploded. Sky Demon catch. The Sky Demon power field gathered on her palm. Murong Qingcheng took a step forward, grabbing towards Bing Ling, who was dozens of meters away. Crack! The stage was shattered, but Bing Ling managed to dodge it in time. While she was in midair, she made a grabbing gesture in the air with her right hand. An ice blade that was made of freezing Zhen Qi was thrown out. Murong Qingcheng looked very calm. She pushed out her long and slim palm, shattering the ice blade instantly. In the next moment, a wave of invisible ripple instantly landed on Bing Ling's protective Zhen Qi layer, bringing up piles of ice shards. Such a powerful attack had shocked a lot of young warriors. The Sky Demon power field was shapeless and hard to defend against. In the previous competitions, most of the people had been caught by Murong Qingcheng through the air, which made them feel dizzy. Chapter 269. Ice Sky Crack Cut. The Ice Break Fist Art was a top-rank Earth Realm fist art. There were 14 movements in total, and the last 3 killing movements were extremely hard to train. Until now, Bing Ling could barely perform the third last movement, the Ice Crystal Fist. Although this Ice Sky Crack Cut was not a killing movement, its power was way more powerful than the Ice Break art, and was only weaker than the top 3 killing movements. Swoosh! The perfect ice blade appeared in front of Bing Ling's body. After a slight pause, it flew out with a power that seemed to be able to cut through the air. Because of its high speed and low temperature, it actually left a white ice trail in the air, which was beautiful and dangerous. Murong Qingcheng did not dare to underestimate the ice blade. She reached out both of her hands and gripped in the air. The Sky Demon power field burst out. Squeak! The ice blade's speed suddenly slowed down, and its surface started to twist slightly. Break! Murong Qingcheng saw Bing Ling's movement again, so she frowned. Her Sky Demon Zhen Qi disappeared like water, turning into the invisible Sky Demon power field. Bang! Ice shards flew everywhere. Right then, Bing Ling had already prepared a new ace attack, which was the Ice Spirit exploding spell that she had used on Yi Chen. The crystal ice ball spun faster, shooting towards Murong Qingcheng as fast as lightning. Sky Demon palm print. Destroy. Although Murong Qingcheng had never experienced the power of the Ice Spirit exploding spell herself, But from the battle between Bing Ling and Yi Chen, she could tell that it was definitely not a normal ace attack. It was a killing attack. The Sky Demon power field could defend against that explosive power, but it could not defend against the horrifying low temperature. Without thinking about it, she immediately cancelled the Sky Demon power field and poured all of her Zhen Qi into her right arm. Her slim palm carried a power that was as deep as the ocean and attacked in the air. Boom! In front of his palm, all the ice crystals within 100 meters floated up and turned into nothingness. The ice ball, on the other hand, seemed to have sunk into a swamp, and its speed slowed to a terrifying degree. Then, it exploded with a bang and was completely annihilated. If it was in the past, Murong Qingcheng would consume too much of her true qi after using this move, and her combat power would be sharply reduced. However, since the Great Heavenly Devil technique had been upgraded to the 10th stage, she could now easily use the Great Heavenly Devil palm print, and the consumption of true qi was no more than 10% of her total true qi. Demonic palm print, Heaven's Rebuke. Before she retracted her right palm, Murong Qingcheng's left hand struck out. A shocking scene happened. Bing Ling seemed to be repelled by this space. Her whole body was thrown out uncontrollably, and blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. Her body twisted a couple of times in the air before Bing Ling landed on the ground steadily. She said, "The Great Heavenly Devil art is indeed worthy of its reputation. I have lost." The Sky Flying Demon Martial School had two top martial arts, one was the Sky Demon art, and the other was the Great Heavenly Devil art. The Sky Demon art was good at seeing through weaknesses and killing with one attack. The Great Heavenly Devil art was a martial art that mainly focused on attacking. Not only could it train the Sky Demon power field, it also contained the accompanying martial art, the Great Heavenly Devil palm print. Among all the top-rank Earth Realm martial arts in the South Rudra region, it was one of the top ones, and extremely hard to train. Although Bing Ling's Icebreak Fist art was powerful, the Great Heavenly Devil art was the bane of it. Bing Ling could not even get close to Murong Qingcheng. "Thank you for letting me win." Murong Qingcheng held her fists together. As the two got off the stage, the audience seating was still very lively. 4 of the top 10 seeded contestants had already been eliminated, and there were still 6 contestants left for this round. Among the 6, 5 of them were super popular, such as Xikong Sheng, Yang Chihua, Li Daoxian, Lin Yun, and Yi Chen. As for Mo Yang, because he had lost to Tuor Buku, his popularity had dropped drastically, and he was not as popular among the top young warriors. The 15th battle, Li Daoxian against Yang Chihua. Woo! The battling field was silent for a second, then a shocking wave of voices exploded. Yang Chihua was ranked second in the last Hidden Dragon rank, and was the #1 blade artist among the young generation in the South Rudra region. His blade art was extremely powerful and aggressive. Even the older generation of blade artists could not compete with him. Before Yi Chen showed up, Li Daoxian was the #1 sword artist among the young generation in the South Rudra region. His sword art was sharp and ruthless, and he could kill with every movement he made. He was called the emotionless sword artist. One was the #1 blade artist, and the other was the #1 sword artist. The battle between the two could ignite the blood in the hearts of the warriors watching the battle. A lot of people felt their throats go dry, their eyes wide open as they stared at the two on the stage. "You and I have not fought for 3 years. I wonder if your emotionless sword art could break my blade art." If Xikong Sheng was the king warrior among the young generation, then the fire spirit prince, Yang Chihua, would undoubtedly be the tyrant warrior among the young generation. His aggressiveness was born naturally, and he could look down on the whole world. "We will know after we try." Li Daoxian was wearing blue robes, looking very skinny. Standing there, he looked like he could be blown away by a gust of wind. However, once his sword appeared in his hand, a sharp and ruthless sword intent spread out. The whole world seemed to be covered by his sword intent, cutting everything in its way. Yang Chihua glanced at Li Daoxian and said proudly, 3 years ago, you were not my opponent, and 3 years later, you will not be my opponent either. Right now, I will let you attack for 3 times. Within these 3 attacks, I will not take out my blade. If you can win even 1 or 2 attacks from me, I would not mind losing to you." Li Daoxian frowned, There is no need to let me win. I will let you take out your blade for the first attack. Haha, bring it on then. If I cannot even let you have 3 attacks, how could I compete for the number 1? Without saying a word, the blade aura around Yang Qihua's body had increased a little bit. His blade was not out of its scabbard yet, but it gave people the feeling of a long blade piercing through the air, which was extremely aggressive. Clang! Li Daoxuan's sword had been taken out of its scabbard. The blade could not be seen, only a faint sword light could be seen sweeping out and flashing. Break for me! Yang Qihua shouted loudly. His red Zhen Qi shot up into the sky, turning into a huge burning blade that was 30 meters long, and slashed heavily in the air. The sword light was like the wind, invisible and formless. Although Yang Qihua's burning huge blade, which was made of Zhen Qi, had shattered the sword light instantly, but in the next second, the sword light had gathered together again, slicing towards his opponent's face. Such a sharp sword move, and such a strange wind mentality. Yi Chen squinted his eyes. The sword light that Li Daoxian had waved out was like a gust of wind. Even if the wind dispersed, it was still the wind. Or, it could be said that the wind would never disperse, it would always be there. So what if you have the wind mentality? Help me with my blade aura. Yang Qihua's right hand sucked in the air, and the sword light was pulled over. Immediately, beams of red blade light shot out from his palm. The blade light was like fire. After swallowing Li Daoxuan's sword light, it became even more powerful, and rushed back towards Li Daoxian like a forest fire. Once this move was performed, half of the top young warrior's expressions suddenly changed. How overbearing was this? He had taken the opponent's attack as his own. Li Daoxuan's expression was extremely serious. After 3 years, Yang Qihua's blade art had reached an incredible level. Just relying on the wind mentality would not be able to force him to use his real power. Kill. Once the emotionless sword art was performed, Li Daoxian had thrown away all his emotions. He was like an ancient well without any ripples. His sword did not have any emotions either. All it had was an endless sharp light, cutting everything in front of it. Break it for me just the same. Without taking out his long blade, Yang Qihua's attacking power had been reduced drastically. Facing Li Daoxuan's second sword attack, he pushed his spirit, qi, and soul to the peak. Using both of his arms as blades and both of his hands as blades, each of them had thrown out a couple of meters long red blade light, clashing together in the air. Shoo, 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 shoo. The surface of the platform was instantly filled with hundreds of holes. Sword qi and blade qi were flying everywhere like a hornet's nest had exploded, which was extremely spectacular. The third sword attack. Kill. Once this sword attack had been performed, the air had strangely calmed down. The sword light pointed right at Yang Qihua. Yang Qihua kept backing out. He had let Li Daoxian attack 3 times, not only because he was confident, but also because he wanted to challenge his own limit. If he could handle 3 sword attacks from Li Daoxian safely, then he would be qualified to challenge Xikong Sheng. Otherwise, there would be no need to even talk about challenging Xikong Sheng. This sword attack from Li Daoxian was extremely sharp and sharp. No matter where Yang Qihua backed out to, he felt like he was being stabbed by a needle, making his hair stand up. Shoo. Right then, Yang Qihua was finally ready to use his great blade. Without taking it out of the scabbard, he directly threw out a horizontal attack with the blade still in the scabbard. That red blade light spread out, giving people a horrifying illusion of a volcano eruption and lava shooting up into the sky. It clashed with that heart-piercing sword light. Boom! 2 colors appeared on the 300 meters long battling platform. One was a light silver color, and the other was an endless red color. They were clearly separated, and neither of them was willing to give in to the other. Right then, everyone held their breaths and did not even blink their eyes, afraid that they would miss the most crucial moment. In their eyes, Yang Qihua was unbelievably powerful. Without taking out his great blade, he was able to handle 3 sword attacks from Li Daoxian without falling into a disadvantage. It was indeed horrifying. Yi Chen's opinion was slightly different from everyone else's. Although Yang Qihua's blade art was powerful, Li Daoxian was not bad either. The reason why Yang Qihua was able to handle 3 sword attacks from Li Daoxian was not only because of his extremely powerful power, but also because he knew everything about Li Daoxian. If it were another unfamiliar sword artist who was at the same level as Li Daoxian, Yang Qihua would not have been so careless. Besides these reasons, there was another reason. As everyone knew, 3 attacks was neither too long nor too short. When 2 equally powerful sword artists and blade artists were fighting against each other, if one of them did not carry a blade, then his attacking power would be greatly reduced. However, it would not be a problem for him to hold out for 3 attacks, since he still had the mentality of his blade art. What he lacked was only the attacking power and aura. It would be impossible for one of them to lose immediately without a weapon. Of course, Yang Qihua's power was that he did not fall into a disadvantage within 3 attacks. The number 2 of the last hidden dragon rank was indeed not a normal warrior. 3 sword attacks have passed. 3 sword attacks were already Yang Qihua's limit. He took out his great blade without any hesitation and continued to attack along with his previous blade aura. He had pushed the mentality of volcano eruption to another level, which had shattered Li Daoxuan's sword aura within a second. It was like a flood that had opened the floodgates, rushing towards Yang Qihua. Empty kill. In the previous 3 sword attacks, Li Daoxian did not seem to hold back at all. However, facing a blade artist who did not even take out his blade, his attacking power had subconsciously weakened a lot. Maybe he thought that it was not a fair win. Right then, as Yang Qihua threw out his blade attack, Li Daoxuan's sword aura had reached another level, his sword intent surging. Ding! Dang! Dang! Within a couple of blinks of an eye, the 2 had exchanged dozens of attacks. Burning sparks flew everywhere, and no one could even see where the 2 of them were. That kind of soul-stirring battle had even made the audience forget to breathe, their faces turning red. The sparks did not disappear, and the 2 had exchanged more and more attacks at a higher frequency. For the first time, Mo Yang, who had been operating his sky demon eyes, felt a bit sore in his eyes. Swoosh! A human shadow flew out. It was Li Daoxian. There was a burnt mark on his shoulder, and his clothes had been burned into ashes. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.